312-809-5955. That's 312-809-5955. 312-809-5955.
It is 5:11. Let's get an update on the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time, a service of the Byrna Less Lethal Launcher. The Byrna launcher can stop an attacker in their tracks. Don't compromise on safety. Byrna is legal in all states. No background checks or permits required. And it's shipped to your door. Visit Byrna.com/radio for 10% off your purchase. Ike on the inbound side, an accident cleared as you approach Cicero. Now, a fatal accident this morning is being investigated on the Stevenson inbound between LaGrange Road and First Avenue, and state police tell us now they have diverted all traffic off. They have shut down the Stevenson inbound between LaGrange Road and First Avenue. All traffic is being diverted off at LaGrange Road for the time being. Again, this is only impacting the inbound Stevenson right now. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy starts next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast with AccuWeather, Steve Williams.
Mostly cloudy, stray shower in the area this morning, then breezy. High today 54, cloudy tonight and a low 45. Mostly sunny tomorrow, the high 54. Clouds and sun, nice day on Saturday, the high 56. I'm Steve Williams, AM 560, The Answer.
Drizzle and fog, 51 at O'Hare, 52 Midway. Especially heavy fog out near Aurora, 50 degrees. Your next news update, 5:30. Chicago's Morning Answer starts next on AM 560, The Answer.
When your home or business has an insurance claim, the next step is very important. The claim process with insurance can be tedious, hard to understand, and difficult to navigate. You need someone working for you. You need a licensed claim adjuster. Why? The insurance company will send out their inspectors that work for them, get paid by them, and represent them, not you.
This is Dan Lights from Crosscom. We inspect your property, file your claim, negotiate the damages, and maximize your settlement with your insurance company. If we complete the repairs approved by your insurance company, our service is free. Crosscom Public Adjusters has turned denied claims into approved claims. We've also increased insurance claims anywhere from 23 to 1,000%. We are licensed by the Department of Insurance and work in Illinois, Northwest Indiana, and Southern Wisconsin. Crosscom Public Adjusters, 630-871-5500. Online at crosscominc.com. That's crosscominc.com. Crosscom, building trust for over 20 years.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm. If you own a timeshare, don't miss this public service announcement from Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group.
If you receive an unsolicited phone call or mail piece to discuss selling, renting, or especially canceling your timeshare, don't fall for it. If you really want out of your timeshare, hang the phone up immediately or throw that mail piece in the trash and contact your timeshare resort or Wesley Financial Group for assistance with your timeshare. As the only Inc. 500 timeshare cancellation company, our knowledge, experience, and results has made Wesley a trusted resource for over 40,000 families we've helped get out of their timeshare. Give us a call, and I'll send you our Timeshare Exit Information Kit free with the straight facts about your timeshare and all of your options for cancellation.
Call for your free info kit, 800-839-8484. 800-839-8484. 800-839-8484.
A great smile can make you feel happy and confident. So when you consciously conserve your teeth, that glowing smile will show through. At Best Dental Group, doctors Economos, Gavalis, and their staff are ready to help you create that perfect look or maintain the one you have now. Along with general dentistry, Best Dental Group is a multidiscipline practice with an orthodontist, periodontist, and prosthetic specialists on site. They use the newest breakthroughs in dental technology such as titanium implants, Invisalign clear braces, and laser treatments. Don't let fear get in the way. They can recommend sedation to make your experience as comfortable as possible. Best Dental Group is located in historic downtown Bartlett and is a multilingual office. Call 630-830-4930, 630-830-4930, or visit bestdental.org. Best Dental Group, sharing your conservative values and helping you to conserve your teeth.
Are you ready for the adventure of a lifetime? Hi, it's Mike Gallagher. Join me along with Larry Elder, Dennis Prager, and our special guests, Joe Piscopo, Jennifer Horn, on the Patriots Alaska cruise, August of 2025. It's an incredible opportunity to engage with us and other Patriots on an epic 7-day journey. Witness the untouched wilderness of Alaska while discussing America's future and role in the world. You've got to reserve through us to have access to all our events. Call 855-565-5519 or book online at travelwithsalem.com, travelwithsalem.com.
Quick delivery service. What do you need delivered today?
Hi, I'm trying to work through a last-minute to-do list for my boss. Can you deliver a hard drive to the Loop in Chicago?
We can deliver that today.
Okay, can you deliver 20 boxes to a client in Rockford?
We can deliver that today.
Can you deliver 12 pallets of tile to our customer in Naperville?
We can deliver that today.
Can you deliver a large envelope to Northbrook?
We can deliver that today.
Oh my gosh, I think my water just broke. Can you...
We cannot deliver that.
Quick Delivery Service delivers your package no matter the size. More than just a messenger service, Quick Delivery Service is a messenger and trucking service that can also provide scheduled routes for your daily delivery or your air shipment. Trucks are equipped to handle the load and provide ground-level service for same-day delivery. The Quick Delivery Service team of safe, licensed professionals can provide quick door-to-door service for your special delivery. QuickDelivery.com. That's QuickDelivery.com. We deliver that today. But we don't deliver this.
If you own or run a business and you listen to AM 560, you might not realize that the conservative programming that you enjoy is supported by advertisers. Our loyal listeners love to do business with the advertisers they hear every day on AM 560. Now, it probably won't surprise you that there are some businesses who avoid advertising with us because they don't like what we do here. And that's okay, because our audience wants to support businesses that support what we do and think like we think. We would love to have you join the list of successful companies who are already reaching new, like-minded customers. Most AM 560 advertisers have been here for years for one simple reason: they get results. Join our efforts to make a difference in the lives of our listeners who are passionate about supporting our great family of AM 560 advertisers. To learn more, just visit 560theanswer.com/advertise. That's 560theanswer.com/advertise.
Portions of the following show may be pre-recorded.
This hourly segment is brought to you by HealthQuest Radio with Dr. David Kolbaba, Saturday mornings at 11. Visit healthquestradio.com.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. Before we get into the program, we do want to send out well wishes and prayers for a speedy recovery to our friend Dennis Prager. As many of you may have heard, yesterday or the day before, it was announced yesterday, he had a fall and he, I guess, hurt his back fairly seriously, enough that he was hospitalized. And so, just thinking about Dennis Prager, a radio great and a good friend of ours who's been great to our show and our station here in Chicago. And I know he's got a lot of fans that listen to our show as well, like all of them. And so anyway, just want to make sure people are aware of that, and please say a prayer for our colleague, Dennis Prager. Okay. Yesterday, a lot to get to in terms of the ongoing transition from Biden and Kamala to Trump and JD, and it began with that much-anticipated pro forma sit-down between the current president and the incoming president. The exchange was fairly interesting, as awkward as it was between the Bidens and Kamala and Dougie the day before, was as seemingly friendly as it was between Joe Biden and Trump. And don't forget, I mean, that's being friendly to Hitler.
Well, Mr. President-elect and former President, Donald, congratulations. Thank you. And looking forward to having like we said, smooth transition. Do everything we can to make sure you're accommodated, what you need. And we're going to get a chance to talk about some of that today. So good. Welcome
Thank
back.
You very much, and thank you very much. And politics is tough. And it's, in many cases, not a very nice world, but it is a nice world today, and I appreciate it very much. A transition that's so smooth, it'll be as smooth as it can get, and I very much appreciate that, Jim.
You're welcome.
You're welcome. How about that?
Oh, well, 312-642-5600. I was thinking best bros, and I don't know if you saw the memes, but Biden seemed relaxed. He seemed happy. Never saw him with a dour look on his face. I mean, because I'm enthralled with all this stuff, and everywhere they went, he just seemed like he was a different person.
Right, and they split a chicken wrap for lunch. I mean, it was very friendly. That fire, fire behind them, that's getting a lot of attention. That was...
Well, it was
raging.
75 degrees in Washington, D.C. yesterday. So the fire, I don't know if it was really needed, but it was cooking.
More like a campfire behind it. But anyway.
Well, the White House called a very cordial, gracious, substantive meeting.
Yeah.
All
KJP offered this characterization of the 2 hours they spent together.
Okay, so today, President Biden met with President-elect Trump for approximately 2 hours in the Oval Office. White House Chief of Staff Jeff Zients and incoming Chief of Staff Susie Wiles joined the meeting. It was a substantive meeting, an exchange of views. They discussed important national security and domestic policy issues facing the nation and the world.
No, they didn't. Trump was there to break it to him. Remember that NASCAR race from 2021? Mr. President, they weren't saying, let's go, Brandon.
No, don't tell him. Shh, don't tell him that. Well, Fox News said that he had a number of questions written down for Biden and some centered on the Middle East.
Do you know what year it is?
Okay. Do you know who I am? But one thing that's really interesting is, you know how Melania did not go because the Bidens approved the raid on their Mar-a-Lago home and, destroyed her panty drawer and Barron's room. Jill Biden gave President Trump, or President-elect, former president, a letter. And I am dying to know if that was a letter to Melania, like, hey, when you get home, give this to your wife. I want to explain something. Or if it was, I don't know, her apologizing. I just don't know what in the heck was in that letter. What do you think was in the letter? I don't think it was recipes.
Jill Biden's letter to Donald Trump?
Yeah, she gave him a letter, and I don't know if it was to Melania or to him.
It probably said, if Joe forgets to pardon Hunter, please. Pardon Hunter, maybe? I don't know.
I know, but what about all the name calling? Somebody asked KJP about this.
A lot was said on the campaign trail, like Trump is a dangerous threat to our country and our democracy. Was there an apology today?
I'm sorry?
Was there an apology from
President
Biden for the words, some of the words he used?
The president is going to always feel obligated to be honest with the American people. What he says still stands.
Of course. Right. It's all phony. Yesterday was phony. The Hitler stuff was phony. It's all phony, in other words, just like KJP. George in Naperville, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Good morning, Dad. Trump knows how to get him every which way. He was killing him with kindness.
Thanks for the call, George. Why, if when you're invited and you want to present the peaceful transition of power imagery to the country and to the world, which makes all sorts of sense, then, if you're not being openly hostile to me, I'm not going to be openly hostile to you. We can do this charade for a few minutes for the cameras, and then we'll both get on our merry way, you to, to retirement home and me to the next 4 years. I mean, that's what it was, and that's fine. That's fine.
But Trump didn't do it when Biden was elected. They skipped that ceremonious meeting. So I mean, but times have changed, I guess. Now it's okay.
The election wasn't conceded in 2020.
Right.
A little bit different dynamic.
Oh yeah. No, I know. I'm just this obviously was a clear winner, and Trump. Now we have control of not only the White House but the House and the Senate.
Dan and Amy, Chicago's Morning Answer.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer.
Your show keeps me alive during the week. There's nobody I'd rather listen to between 5 and 9 in the morning than you guys.
On AM 560, The Answer.
Hi, this is Carl Amari.
I'm Lisa Wolf. Join us every Saturday night beginning at 8 p.m. for all things entertainment on Hollywood 360.
If you love classic radio shows, The Shadow, Jack Benny, The Lone Ranger, Dragnet, Gunsmoke, and many more, We have them for you on Hollywood 360.
We'll also present trivia contests with prizes, showbiz news, celebrity interviews, games, and movie reviews.
So don't miss Hollywood 360 every Saturday night beginning at 8 p.m. on AM 560, The Answer.
A large retail store just canceled a huge order leaving MyPillow with a ton of extra MyPillows. But you know what? That's their loss and your gain. For the first time ever, you'll get a standard classic MyPillow for wholesale prices, only $14.88. But it gets even better. For a limited time, they're going to offer their entire classic collection at wholesale prices. Get queen-size MyPillows for just $18.88. Upgrade to king-size for only $1 more. Get the body pillows for $29.88 and multi-use MyPillows for only $9.88. So go to MyPillow.com and use promo code LIBERTY or call 800-489-0201 to take advantage of wholesale pricing for the first time ever and receive free shipping on orders over $75. That's right. Get the standard MyPillow for only $14.88. They have never been offered this low before. They're limited quantities at this price, so the limit is going to be 10, and once they're gone, they're gone. So go to MyPillow.com or call 800-489-0201 and use promo code LIBERTY to get the standard MyPillow for only $14.88, the lowest price ever.
Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies supplements, changing the world one life at a time.
You know, maybe if I'm going on a long hike, several hours, I like to bring some Balance of Nature.
That's some good stuff, I'll tell you.
I've always was taught to eat very healthy growing up. My family was Italian and Greek. We had vegetables and fruits all the time growing up. I feel wonderful. I feel terrific. I love your commercials. I think it's a wonderful way to do this.
Celebrate this season with Black Friday savings all month long. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com and sign up as a new preferred customer to get 50% off your first preferred set with free shipping and our money-back guarantee. That's 1-800-246-8751. Don't miss out. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this exclusive Black Friday offer by using discount code CHICAGO.
From humble small-town beginnings to Hollywood stardom and eventually the world stage, Reagan is a cinematic journey of overcoming the odds. Told through the voice of Victor Petrovich, the film offers a unique perspective. With Dennis Quaid as Reagan, this captivating story explores the profound impact of a man who defied expectations to leave an indelible mark on history. Reagan is available on digital and will be available on Blu-ray, DVD, and digital November 19th. For a chance to win a digital download, visit 560theanswer.com, keyword movie.
From breaking news and weather across the country to insight from the brightest minds in conservative opinion, it's Salem News Channel, home to the biggest shows on TV, like Hugh Hewitt weekdays at 6 a.m. Eastern, followed by Mike Gallagher at 9. Join SNC, where facts are sacred, critical thinking is celebrated, and the pursuit of truth is unwavering. Watch Salem News Channel free, now on Zumo Play. Learn more at snc.tv/Zumo.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
At 5:38, a lot of Republican Party business yesterday. A couple of key nominees for cabinet posts, not to mention a newly minted Senate Majority Leader. We'll tackle it all at 5:38.
But now let's head into the newsroom. Here is Mike Scott. Good morning, Mike.
5:30 on AM 560. The countdown is on to President-elect Donald Trump's return to the White House. He was there yesterday, meeting with President Biden for about 2 hours. Trump announcing the nomination of Florida Republican Matt Gaetz for U.S. Attorney General, Tennessee Republican Senator Bill Hagerty backing the nomination.
They've completely weaponized the DOJ, going after parents at school board meetings. You think about going after the sitting president's opponent, his own political opponent, President Trump.
The news was followed closely by word that Gaetz was resigning from Congress. Senator Mitch McConnell is calling the choice of John Thune as the next Senate Republican leader well-deserved.
It's a new day in the United States Senate, and it's a new day in America. The American people have loudly rejected the failed policies of the Biden-Harris-Schumer agenda.
The South Dakota senator was chosen after 2 secret ballots. Outgoing Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer says he's looking forward to working with Thune.
John Thune will be on the team. He'll work with President Trump. I voted for Rick Scott because I thought he could communicate better with President Trump because they were both in the business world. But John Thune got the nod. Let's go. We're not going to have a lot of time to waste. I think he'll do a good job. But again, President Trump and J.D. Vance are going to be running the Senate.
Senator Tommy Tuberville. Meantime, Speaker Mike Johnson will retain his position in the House. Israel says 15 trucks carrying aid have been allowed into northern Gaza, where aid groups have warned that a month-long Israeli offensive could cause a famine. Federal authorities say an investigation into Chinese government hacking efforts has revealed a broad and significant cyber espionage campaign mounted by Beijing against several U.S. telecommunication firms. Voters in blue state Washington appear this week to have approved a ballot measure that will permanently protect access to natural gas in the near future. Proponents of the measure declared victory with a 52-48% edge this week. The measure would prohibit state regulators from approving plans that encourage state of Washington residents to end natural gas service. The state of Illinois pays tribute to the Chicago police officer killed in the line of duty last week. U.S. and state flags will be flown at half-staff throughout the state until sunset Monday to honor Officer Enrique Martinez. Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker is adamant the state must appeal a federal judge's ruling that his gun and magazine ban is unconstitutional. On the House floor in Springfield, Republican State Representative Dan Calkins argued the state's gun ban was already deemed unconstitutional, and it's time to look forward.
And let's get together and solve this problem of unlawful guns in the hands of criminals. We can do better. Let's use our precious resources to solve problems.
McGlynn's permanent injunction against the law will not go into effect until December 8. The investigation continues into the shooting deaths of 2 that police say were killed in a targeted robbery in Chinatown Tuesday night.
As the Asian communities are going through all this, we're processing, we're telling our friends, our family to be careful.
Cook County Medical Examiner's Office identified the victims as a 32-year-old man and a 33-year-old. Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker and Colorado Governor Jared Polis are forming a coalition of governors to bolster weakened Democrats nationwide. Donald Trump's presidential election win and the GOP winning up and down the ballot nationwide has led to the so-called nonpartisan group that will use their dwindling legislative, executive, and administrative powers to push back against Republicans. Bulls held off the Knicks 124-123 at MSG. The Blackhawks visit Seattle tonight. College hoops Fighting Illini. A win over Oakland. College football Northern Illinois. A win over Akron in the MAC 29-16. The news a service of Trim Light Chicago. You've got to see it to believe it. Amazing, customizable, and permanent holiday and year-round accent lighting for the exterior of your home or business. It's not too late to book your holiday installation. Do it today. Trim Light Chicago. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Dr. Sebastian Gorka reacts to a historic victory.
It is, as the president says, a double mandate. Why? Because he blasted through the 270 required for the Electoral College presidential election, but also won the popular vote.
America First with Dr. Sebastian Gorka. Afternoons at 3, right before Sean Thompson at 4 on AM 560. The Answer.
If you own or run a business and you listen to AM 560, you might not realize that the conservative programming that you enjoy is supported by advertisers. Our loyal listeners love to do business with the advertisers they hear every day on AM 560. Now, it probably won't surprise you that there are some businesses who avoid advertising with us because they don't like what we do here. And that's okay, because our audience wants to support businesses that support what we do and think like we think. We would love to have you join the list of successful companies who are already reaching new, like-minded customers. Most AM 560 advertisers have been here for years for one simple reason: they get results. Join our efforts to make a difference in the lives of our listeners who are passionate about supporting our great family of AM 560 advertisers. To learn more, just visit 560theanswer.com/advertise. That's 560theanswer.com/advertise.
Hi, I'm Angie Hicks, co-founder of Angie, and one thing I've learned is that you buy a house, but you make it a home. Because with every fix, update, and renovation, it becomes a little more your own. So you need all your jobs done well. For nearly 30 years, Angie has helped millions of homeowners hire skilled pros for the projects that matter. From plumbing to electrical, roof repair to deck upgrades. So leave it to the pros who will get your jobs done well. Hire high-quality certified pros at Angie.com.
Papa Nicholas Coffee, a Chicagoland tradition for over 5 generations, combines heritage and innovation in every cup. Our coffee is locally roasted, hot air roasted, and cold blended in small batches to ensure premium quality. Whether you prefer a 12-ounce bag or a 28-ounce bag, or even the convenience of K-Cups, you'll find Papa Nicholas Coffee at your local retailer. Taste the difference that 5 generations of expertise brings. Choose Papa Nicholas Coffee, because great coffee is our family tradition. Visit online at papanicholas.com. That's papanicholas.com.
Is thinning hair or a receding hairline making you self-conscious? Try Hair Grow from New Nordic. Stop feeling embarrassed about thinning hair and start feeling your best with Hair Grow.
5:37, Team Hochberg Traffic Center time, a service of Balance of Nature, fruits and veggies in a capsule. Order online at balanceofnature.com. Use coupon code Chicago to save 35% as a preferred customer. Hurry, offer ends soon. Inbound on the Ike, 2 left lanes are blocked with an accident. Inbound approaching Cicero. And delays on the Stevenson, big delays inbound. The expressway completely shut down between LaGrange Road and First Avenue. You're diverted off at LaGrange, all due to a fatal accident investigation. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. Now your official Chicagoland weather forecast. Cloudy with a morning shower, becoming breezy by the afternoon and a high of 54. Drizzle in 51 right now. Next news at 6. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. Only the biggest stories, only the biggest guests, and only the biggest opinions. This is AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. So yesterday, the election was held among Senate Republicans for their new majority leader, and John Thune won it on a second ballot over John Cornyn. He made this promise in the post-victory press conference.
And when it comes to choosing nominees who will pass Senate confirmation?
Well, as you know, the Senate has a advise and consent role under the Constitution, so we will do everything we can to process his noms quickly, get them installed in their position so they can begin to implement his agenda.
That's going to be more difficult for some than others, but that's a commitment that Thune made. I'm sure Trump will want to hold him to it.
Yeah. Is that something Mitch McConnell would have said?
Yeah, it's a pro forma statement, okay. But it was interesting that Trump did not get involved to put his finger on the scale, or attempt to put his finger on the scale for Rick Scott. Elon Musk did, sort of by proxy, but Trump didn't want to spend political capital there, which probably makes some sense. You know, a lot of these senators are.
What?
It's the typical, it's their sandbox. They don't want anyone telling them how to play in their sandbox. And maybe that's one of the things that Trump learned over his 4 years in term 1 about just sort of the cultural dynamics with a lot of those senators. Again, remembering the Senate Republican caucus is getting more MAGA, but it is not majority MAGA at present. And Trump certainly knew the balance of power there. Well, so on to getting nominees for cabinet posts confirmed post haste. Two important nominees advanced yesterday, Tulsi Gabbard for Director of National Intelligence and Matt Gaetz for Attorney General. Obviously, the Gaetz nomination sent shockwaves through the hallways of power inside the Beltway. It was a surprise pick. I was surprised.
That CNN was saying that people were audibly gasping, like, when they were looking at their phones.
I'm sure they were on CNN. Yes. I mean, when are they not clutching their pearls or audibly gasping? Anyway, the Gaetz and the Gabbard picks, let's discuss them. Let's start with Tulsi first. Because I think the two selections have something in common that I'm not sure anybody's pointed out yet. But we'll get to that. Remember Gabbard's endorsement of Trump a couple of months back at the height of this campaign season, Tulsi Gabbard.
So I mean what I say when I share with you that I know that President Trump understands the grave responsibility that a president and commander-in-chief bears for every single one of our lives. Whether you're a soldier, you're an airman, a Marine, sailor, or a coastie, he keeps us in his heart in the decisions that he makes. We saw this through his first term in the presidency, when he not only didn't start any new wars, he took action to de-escalate and prevent wars. He exercised the courage that we expect from our commander-in-chief in exhausting all measures of diplomacy, having the courage to meet with adversaries, dictators, allies, and partners alike in the pursuit of peace, seeing war as a last resort. The truth is, as we head towards our decision as a country in November, the same cannot be said about Kamala Harris. In fact, the opposite is true, and we're living through this reality today as this administration has us facing multiple wars on multiple fronts and regions around the world, and closer to the brink of nuclear war than we ever have been before. This is one of the main reasons why I'm committed to doing all that I can to send President Trump back to the White House, where he can once again serve us as our commander-in-chief.
So that's Tulsi Gabbard, the thrust of her endorsement of Trump. But there's another aspect of it, too, and it was the politicization of the intelligence community, the weaponization of federal law enforcement agencies to do the political bidding of the powers that be. That was also something that was important to Gabbard because, lest we forget, Tulsi Gabbard was a target of it.
Right.
This Quiet Skies program that Sonia Labasco really, I think, was sort of the main whistleblower on, the Air Marshal National Council Director. I mean, this is back in November of 2023 when she talked about what wasn't happening on the border and what was happening in the skies.
Yes, Secretary Mayorkas has said more than once that the border is secure. That the border is secure, so he is not concerned with that. But we all know that the border is not secure. He will not call this a crisis. But now not only is the border destabilized, so is our aviation is destabilized as well. The only missions that we're doing are Quiet Skies missions, and those are missions that are following the January 2021 people. So we're either on the border for illegal immigrants or we're following folks from January 2021. We're not doing our regular missions where we're out there looking for the bad guys. So right now on most flights, you're not going to have air marshals.
What do you mean by that? You're following January 2021 people. What does that mean?
That means our primary mission is a little group called Quiet Skies. It's a mission called Quiet Skies that we're following people that flew into the National Capital Region in January 2021. You did not have to go to the Capitol or the rally, and you've been put on a specific list that TSA now has assigned air marshals to follow these people who have not had any type of criminal investigation. They haven't committed a crime, but yet 3 years later, we're following the same individuals day in and day out.
So you're saying that air marshals are now following people that were at the Capitol on January 6th, and they're not tracking terrorists at all?
Well, they didn't even have to be at the Capitol, Carly. They could have just flown into the National Capital Region. So if anybody was there for a job interview, to visit family, we even had a gentleman that was there for a funeral. They put on this domestic terrorist list just because of their geographic location to Washington, D.C. So these people did not even commit a crime. They weren't even at the Capitol.
What? Do those people know that they're on this list?
Some of them do, because when they go to the airport, they get the quad S's on their boarding pass, and then they have to go through enhanced security. Then they're followed by teams of air marshals on any leg of flight that they have. So yes, a lot of them do know that they're being followed, yet they haven't been vetted and they have not committed a crime. And 3 years later, we're still doing the same.
And Tulsi Gabbard, it turns out, uncovered D.C. Back a bit, not long after that whistleblower revelation. Tulsi Gabbard was identified as one of these people that was enrolled in the Quiet Skies program without her knowledge. Just to provide the backdrop to this, because it's important, Quiet Skies was a TSA surveillance program with its own compartmentalized suspected terrorist watch list.
Right, so it's separate from the U.S. government's terrorist no-fly list, but it's still part of TSA's program.
For what the federal government calls national security reasons, an individual is enrolled in the program without knowledge. Teams of federal air marshals are assigned to individuals, following and tracking them for when they enter the airport and then on all their flights and transits until they reach their destination. And that quad S, the 4 S's on the bottom right-hand corner for their boarding passes, is what usually happens to people that are in the program, but not always. Then they're flagged for extra searches, frequently so lengthy that they miss their flights. And that happened to Gabbard, as she detailed.
She and her husband on July 23rd, they were pulled aside for additional TSA screening.
So keep that in mind now that, because the Director of National Intelligence, all official intelligence community organizations report up to the DNI, now Tulsi Gabbard. Keep that in mind as we turn our attention to Matt Gaetz, because Matt Gaetz was the target of a DOJ investigation into potential illicit drug use, potential sex crimes. It never went anywhere. And then on the flip side, his father had gone to the FBI over an extortion plot where some repeat fraudster came to him and said, for $25 million, I can assure that Trump will pardon your son. And so Gates' father, who's a wealthy dude, takes this to the FBI. Ultimately, that guy is arrested. He pleads guilty. I can't remember what his sentence was. But this was all concurrent. The DOJ was investigating Gates while this extortion plot was advanced against the Gates family, and then they go to the FBI. And of course, Department of Justice said Gates will not be charged with anything related to the investigation in which he was a target. So one of the things it seems to me is that Trump is, it's one variable, but I think it's an important one. Trump is putting people in charge of these agencies who've been targeted by those agencies or by that community, just like he was targeted, that perhaps he thinks they might have a little extra enthusiasm to root out the political actors masquerading as government officials with important responsibilities to carry out.
I like that. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. You could text us on that same number.
And here again, Gates is not exactly the most qualified in terms of traditional criteria to be the attorney general. He was never a prosecutor. I think he was briefly in private practice.
I didn't even know he was a lawyer, Dan, until yesterday.
Yeah, William and Mary graduate, so not your traditional attorney general, to say the least. Just like Hegseth is not your traditional Secretary of Defense, but maybe Trump is looking for people that are motivated not to act with reckless abandon, but to act as aggressively as possible while doing so intelligently and within the rules, and then people who also can explain themselves to the American people that are pretty skilled public communicators, so they can bring people along in terms of what they're doing, why they're doing it, how they're doing it, and build equity in terms of the reform agenda that Trump has for the federal government writ large. I mean, that's my most hopeful note. I understand some of the concerns about Gates, and I understand some of the acrimony that Gates is going to generate. I'm sure Trump did too. But on that Department of Justice investigation into Gates, I mean, Gates had to be vetted before this decision was made. Trump knows the reaction it's going to get from D.C. and the D.C. press corps. So there has to be, I'm assuming, I don't know, there has to be completely nothing there. Maybe even something that would be considered an improper investigation. Again, this was, launch an investigation. We're looking into it as a way to slime Gates, the accusation, going through the process. That is the punishment, the accusation. Where did I go to get my reputation back? And this hangs over his head, even though there was no there's no legitimate basis to pursue such a public investigation of a sitting member of Congress who happens to be one of the more outspoken Trump supporters in Congress as well.
Yeah, he wasn't charged at the state level or federal level. And just think, I mean, he's faced a sex trafficking investigation by the Justice Department that he can now lead. I mean, that is very Trumpian.
312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer and text line, your reaction to the Gates pick. A friend of mine texted me. I thought this was really a perfect, definitive characterization of the pick. Matt Gates is an insufferable prick. Perfect pick for AG General, for Attorney General. He's an insufferable prick and the perfect choice, which speaks to where the attitude, certainly of a lot of Trump supporters, is right now. Mike in Union, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. The drama at the Senate confirmation meeting is going to be awesome. It's probably going to last about a week. I would say everybody grab popcorn and your favorite beverage, because Matt Gaetz will not stand there and take a beating like other people have. And I can't wait to watch it. Enjoy America.
Thanks for the call, Mike. Dave in Wakanda.
Hey, Dan, I think that Trump thinks he isn't going to get Gates confirmed and has somebody else waiting in the wings, because Gates is a little too toxic and will probably get refused by everybody because he's burned too many bridges. So maybe he has somebody else in mind and just
why would he do that?
Art of the deal kind of thing. Just the art of the deal.
Yeah, but how does that make sense? What's the benefit?
That's the way Trump works. The benefit is that he's going to get somebody else he knows is probably better than Gates, because Gates really doesn't have that qualification as a prosecutor.
Okay, thanks for the call, Dave. I don't understand why you would spend political capital to suffer a political embarrassment of not getting your attorney general nominee across the finish line so you can nominate somebody you could have nominated in the first place. Do they want to replace Gates in the House of Representatives? I mean, is this doing the bidding of Kevin McCarthy? That's a triple or quadruple bank shot. I mean, you think Trump really is focused on those sort of Rube Goldberg schemes when it comes to personnel, when he's on a tight 2-year horizon to move the flag?
Well,
that doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah,
I know Kevin McCarthy said he's not going to get confirmed, but we'll see. They've got a margin of error of 3 Republican senators.
Yeah, and there's bad blood obviously between Kevin McCarthy and Matt Gaetz, because Matt Gaetz got him kicked out as Speaker of the House.
Yeah, I understand, but Trump knows he's not going to get confirmed, and he's using this to set up somebody he will get confirmed. Well, I mean, he could have nominated Mike Lee instead, and Mike Lee would have sailed through. Why is he doing Gates? Just to send a message. It's just what Senator Slingblade said.
I mean, clearly,
just kind of like a God tier kind of trolling, just to trigger a meltdown. But really the Dems' opinions on Gates, that's not really what's interesting. What to me is interesting is those are the good ones are gonna come by my colleagues on the other side, the GOP, on how they can justify voting for that jerk off.
Well, the only one who is unwilling, the only individuals who essentially signaled they're unwilling to vote for that jerk-off are Susan Collins and Lisa Murkowski, which I think are sort of built into the price of your 3-seat margin of error.
Lindsey Graham, he said that he's going to have to think about it, but then later on, a few hours later, he said that he can back him. But Matt Gaetz already resigned from Congress. Speaker Johnson made the announcement, hours after Donald Trump nominated Gaetz as Attorney General.
Frank, Arlington Heights.
Yeah, good morning. I think this is, I remember when Ashcroft got nominated in 2000, this is the ultimate party line vote, and Gaetz will be confirmed. It might only be 51 to 49 or whatever, or even 50 to 50 with Vance approving it.
Right.
But he'll be approved. Absolutely.
Yeah, I that's my sense of it too. Thanks, Frank of Frank's in-depth history there. Yeah. That's my sense of it too. I mean, for a position like Attorney General, this isn't the time to play games that like like Dave from Wakanda suggested. I mean, you really want this to go the way of Harriet Miers under W. You want to advance somebody for Supreme Court that doesn't make it. You have to pull the nomination and you get embarrassed. I don't think that's what he's doing. Trump, although also, let's not forget, is not a guy to back down from his appointments or from his nominations. Did he back down from Kavanaugh amid all the imbroglio, the imbroglio that ensued there? He did not. Don't be so sure. Tom and Elgin.
Yeah, one question and two statements. The guy from North Dakota, it's not a cultural thing. He's in there with Pagliacci and the other guy from South Carolina, Lindsey Graham. These guys are in there, into wars and all that stuff. They look like CIA guys, so I don't like him. Gaetz is great. The guy that said he's not a prosecutor hasn't watched the angles he takes on destroying these guys in Congress.
Yeah, thanks for the call, Tom. I mean, I would just say formally he wasn't a prosecutor like in a prosecutor's office. Yes, he is very good at cross-examination in hearings, and we'll get to that in the next hour. And that's one of the features, I think, of Gaetz as one of the features in terms of what attracts Trump to Gaetz as Attorney General. Just because he hasn't spent time as a county or state or federal prosecutor doesn't mean that he's not sharp. And even some of those on the other side of the aisle, like Jared Moskowitz, who's a Democrat from Florida, is part of the congressional caucus from Florida. But on the other side, here's what he said.
I mean, look, this is what the American people voted for, right? I mean, Trump was not shy about what he wanted to do in this country. And, in Matt Gaetz, he's not only going to get someone who's fiercely loyal, but fiercely competent. Matt Gaetz knows exactly what to do with the Attorney General's office. He will turn that into be most powerful Attorney General in American history. I know.
I think Jared Moskowitz. Yeah, I think Jared Moskowitz is onto something. We'll take more of your calls about the Gaetz and Gabbard if you want to discuss that as well. In addition, the rumors about who the next FBI director will be. We'll take that. Take all that up at 6:06.
And what's next for Kamala Harris? They have a plan. But now let's head into the newsroom. Here is Mike Scott. Good morning, Mike.
Rain and fog this morning. It's impacting your ride to work. We'll have details from the traffic center in just a moment as well. While aldermen are set to reject Brandon Johnson's $300 million property tax hike, a man shot and killed by police in Gary, Indiana, and a man stabbed at a CTA train stop on the near north side. Bulls winners at Madison Square Garden. WIND Chicago News Time. 6.
An early test of loyalty. I'm Chris Foster, Fox News. Some Senate Republicans say no way to President-elect Trump's choice for Attorney General, Matt Gaetz. a now former Florida House Republican.
House Speaker Mike Johnson confirmed Matt Gaetz resigned from Congress shortly after Trump tapped him to be the next Attorney General. His resignation comes days before the House Ethics Committee was set to vote on releasing a potentially damaging report about him. The committee has been investigating the now former congressman for years for allegations including sex trafficking, drug use, and accepting bribes, all of which he denies. Gaetz immediately faced some opposition from senators on both sides of the aisle, with two Republican Senate sources telling Fox News he will never get confirmed.
Fox's Brooks Singman. Gaetz is one of several Republicans in Congress whose seats are opening up because they've been chosen to serve by President-elect Trump. The party will now for sure control the White House, Senate, and House. Fox's Griff Jenkins.
It was clinched after the House race in Arizona was called for GOP candidate Juan Ciscomani, and it does bring that House balance of power to 218 to 208, with a handful of races still yet to be called. In the Pennsylvania Senate race, Democrat Senator Bob Casey refusing to concede to Republican Dave McCormick.
And that's now going to an automatic recount. There is life-threatening flooding in the forecast for Central America because of a late-season tropical storm that could make its way to Florida. New Jersey's in its first declared drought since 2016.
Gusty winds also enhancing fire danger over areas that are experiencing extreme drought. What will soon be Tropical Storm Sarah moving into Central America. We'll have to watch its development as the system is forecast to pop into the Gulf of Mexico this weekend. I'm Janice Dean, Fox News.
Disney reports earnings slightly higher than expected. We get the Labor Department's report on wholesale prices this morning. America's listening to Fox News.
Fog and light rain showers, 51 degrees at 6:02 on AM 560. The Answer. Good morning. I'm Mike Scott. Mayor Brandon Johnson will oversee a special city council meeting where he could face a stinging rebuke from aldermen and women. He's facing opposition to a proposed $300 million property tax hike. Many are against that hike, and that threatens efforts to pass a city budget by the end-of-year deadline. Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker is adamant this morning that the state must appeal a federal judge's ruling that the gun and magazine ban he signed is unconstitutional. On the House floor this week, Republican State Representative Dan Calkins says it's time for the state and the General Assembly to move forward.
And let's get together and solve this problem of unlawful guns in the hands of criminals. We can do better. Let's use our precious resources to solve problems.
On Wednesday, Pritzker says he intends to fight for the law. Nurses at the University of Illinois Hospital went on strike yesterday for a second time this year. Amid ongoing contract negotiations, nurses are raising concerns over what they describe as unsafe working conditions, understaffing, and what they call low wages. A man was killed and an officer injured following a shooting during an undercover sting operation targeting a person responsible for a rash of armed robberies in northwest Indiana. On Wednesday, Gary police announced the arrest of the suspect, who officers identified as a 21-year-old Gary resident who allegedly had been posting fake social media marketplace listings and then robbing the buyers.
The suspect had a machete-style weapon. So the machete-style weapon was displayed, and it was acted upon the officer. And then when the REACT team actually came in contact with him, he continued that same behavior with this machete-style weapon, and that's what caused the officer to fire upon him.
Following the shooting, the suspect was rushed to a nearby hospital and later pronounced dead. Chicago Fire Department remembering a firefighter who died in the line of duty a year ago.
Firefighter EMT Andrew Price succumbed to his death.
The department honoring firefighter Andrew Price by adding his badge to the memorial wall at the Quinn Fire Academy. Price died while fighting a fire in Chicago's Lincoln Park neighborhood. Bulls hold off the Knicks 124-123 at Madison Square Garden. Blackhawks take on Seattle tonight. College hoops, the Fighting Illini stay undefeated with a win over Oakland. The news, a service of Valdecast Windows for the discerning homeowner looking for high-quality, professional-level window replacement service. Contact Valdecass Windows, your award-winning Platinum Elite Pella Certified contractor. Valdecass.com. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
German pastor Dietrich Bonhoeffer joined a deadly plot to assassinate Adolf Hitler during World War II. And now his story of risking his life to save others is coming to theaters November 22nd. Win a trip to New York to meet Bonhoeffer scholar Eric Metaxas and see a Broadway show by entering today at 560theanswer.com/NYC. That's 560theanswer.com/NYC. And get your tickets today to see Bonhoeffer, Pastor, Spy, Assassin in theaters November 22nd.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest growing independently owned business bank, a bank where relationships still matter. Signature Bank knows your name and your story. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
I'm Scott Bartmus, co-founder of ESCO, a security and fire alarm services business and a customer of Signature Bank. We work hard to give our customers peace of mind, so it's nice to know that while we have our customers' backs, partners like Signature Bank have ours. When COVID hit, there was a lot of uncertainty for many businesses, particularly surrounding the PPP loan program, with parameters and deadlines changing constantly. The executives from Signature Bank worked weekends alongside their staff, filling out and submitting applications to ensure they took care of us. That type of dedication is hard to find, but we found it with Signature Bank.
Signature Bank helps local businesses succeed. Want to learn how Signature Bank can help turn your business vision into reality? Call Signature Bank at 773-467-5600 or visit signaturebank.bank. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Have you ever thought about the causes, the brands that you support stand behind? Well, Pure Talk, my cell phone company, supports veterans. They've relieved $10 million in veterans' debt, donated tens of thousands of dollars monthly to prevent veteran suicide, donated $50,000 to Micro Works, and that helps provide scholarships to veterans after active duty. Dial pound 250, say the keyword save now. Do it now, you save an additional 50% off your first month. Pure Talk, America's wireless company. The Tunnel to Towers Foundation welcomed U.S. Army Specialist Brent Menard into a new mortgage-free smart home in Florida. Now, while on a road clearance mission in Afghanistan, Brent's vehicle was blown up by an improvised explosive device. Brent became a T4 paraplegic. Tunnel to Towers built him a specially adapted smart home that allows severely injured heroes like Brett to live more independently. We hope you'll donate $11 a month so this great work can continue. Just go to their website, the letter T, the number 2, the letter T.org.
If you're living with dry age-related macular degeneration or dry AMD, you may be at risk for developing geographic atrophy or GA. GA can be unpredictable and progress rapidly, leading to irreversible vision loss. Now there's something you can do to
slow it down and get it going slower.
Izervay is proven to slow GA progression.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Izervay or avacincaptad pagel is a prescription eye injection used to treat GA. Don't take it if you have an infection or active swelling in or around your eye. Izervay can cause eye infection, retinal detachment, or increased risk of wet AMD. Izervay may temporarily increase eye pressure. Your vision may be impaired after an eye injection or exam. Don't delay. Ask your doctor about Izervay today.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Visit Izervay.com. That's IZERVAY.com.
6:08. Let's get an update on the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time, a service of almostfreeteeth.com. What if you could save an average of 90% for dental implants and get 90% of your smile back with the Blue Cross Blue Shield, PPO, or FEP? It's possible. Check if you qualify. almostfreeteeth.com. On the Ike accident, 2 left lanes blocked between 25th and Cicero, and an accident right shoulder at Wolf Road. They've reopened the Stevenson inbound after an earlier accident investigation, but you're still delayed between County Line and First Avenue on the inbound Stevenson this morning. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast with Steve Williams.
Mostly cloudy, stray shower in the area this morning, then breezy. High today 54, cloudy tonight and a low 45. Mostly sunny tomorrow, the high 54. Clouds and sun, nice day on Saturday, the high 56. I'm Steve Williams, I am 560. The Answer.
Drizzle and 51 at O'Hare. Next news at 6:30. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy talking about Trump's nominations yesterday of Tulsi Gabbard for Director of National Intelligence, and in particular, the controversial one, Matt Gaetz for Attorney General. My theory is that, at least in part, this was Trump turning the hunted into the hunters.
Bingo.
A la the movie The Hunt from a few years ago.
Oh,
Remember that movie of elites hunting MAGA type people, and the script gets flipped on them.
Look who won the election. So sad, too bad.
Maybe a little bit of life imitating art here. The Wall Street Journal editorial board, none too pleased with this choice. This is a bad choice for AG that would undermine confidence in the law. They say of Gaetz, he's a performer and a provocateur, and his view is that the more explosions he can cause, the more attention he can get. They go on to say that they have concerns about his judgment and credibility. The U.S. Attorney General has to make calls on countless difficult questions of whom to investigate and indict. Mr. Gaetz's decision simply wouldn't be trusted. He's a nominee for those who want the law used for political revenge, and it won't end well. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro, answer line and text line, taking your views on Gaetz in particular, if you want to talk about Gabbard. And also, we can talk about the rumor that the next FBI director is going to be former DOD Chief of Staff Kash Patel.
Would you like that?
Yeah, I'm fine with it. I think that will also be a controversial selection if he is indeed the nominee, and that will generate some hues and cries from inside the castle in D.C., and that's probably a good sign that it does, because it will.
Why do you think he's moving at such rapid pace? I mean, while he was on the plane back from D.C. after meeting with Biden, the announcement was made, it just keeps going and going. I was just wrapping my head around Pete Hegseth, and I like him, and I like what he stands for. I like what he's done for this country. And then, boom, there's another one, and boom, there's another one. It just feels like rapid fire.
Roger in DeKalb, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Yeah, I just want to remind everybody, and this seems like a strategy of, for 30-second attention span America, which can't seem to remember what happened 2 weeks ago in politics, that these are the same people complaining about Matt Gaetz that pitched Merrick Garland as a moderate judge who was going to rule by the Constitution. They push the Russian hoax and all associated baloney that has gone with it forever. If you ever have watched congressional hearings, Matt Gaetz always comes really prepared. And the idea that he's a flamethrower, it's like the guy exposes rottenness and corruption in our government. So it's like, bring him on. And I'm sorry, if Collins and Murkowski can't vote for him based on these allegations, shame on them, because it's the same as the Russian collusion. If you actually look into the facts, it's all about baloney. We have your buddy Sean Thompson on to explain Merrick Garland's origins, because that guy's as rotten as it gets. Have a good day.
Thanks for the call. I don't need an explanation of Merrick Garland's origins or anybody else's from Sean, number one. Yeah. I don't know what that's all about, but we're well aware of Merrick Garland's history starting in the burbs here in Chicago.
Yeah, we don't need to talk about that.
Anyway, yes, I agree with respect to Gaetz, yes, he does well in congressional hearings. He shows prosecutorial skill in cross-examining people like the former Attorney General, or the outgoing Attorney General. I guess he's not former yet.
Can someone quickly remind me why we are removing, rather than demoting or labeling, claims that COVID is man-made before May? And the reply to that email is, and I quote, "Because we were under pressure from the administration. We shouldn't have done it."
That's
So
not the
were
right
you
one.
part
That's
of that?
That's a different one. Here's Garland.
General, you've told us that it's a dangerous conspiracy theory to allege that the Department of Justice is communicating with these state and local prosecutions against Trump. You can clear it all up for us right now. Will the Department of Justice provide to the committee all documents, all correspondence between the department and Alvin Bragg's office and Fonnie Willis's office and Letitia James's office?
The offices you're referring to are independent offices of state.
I get that. I get that.
State.
The question is whether or not you will provide all of your documents and correspondence. That's the question. I don't need a history lesson.
Well, I'm going to say again, we do not control those offices. They make their own
The question is whether you
decisions.
communicate with them, not whether you control them. Do you communicate with them, and will you provide those communications?
You make a request, we'll refer it to our Office of Legislative Affairs.
But see, here's the thing.
They
You
will
come in
respond
here and you
appropriately.
lodge this attack that it's a conspiracy theory, that there is coordinated lawfare against Trump. And then when we say, fine, just give us the documents, give us the correspondence, and then if it's a conspiracy theory, that will be evident. But when you say, well, we'll take your request, and then we'll sort of work it through the DOJ's accommodation process, then you're actually advancing the very dangerous conspiracy theory that you're concerned about.
That was a pantsing of Merrick Garland right there. It was very good. We've said this before in talking about Gates over the years, is that he's a blunt instrument, but when he is, and sometimes he goes to excess. I didn't like the chaos he created in seeking the ouster of Kevin McCarthy, even though Speaker Johnson is better, in my view. But, you know.
Well, getting there wasn't easy.
And it didn't have to end as well as it did. Fortunately, it ended the way it did. But anyway, but when he is good, he is very good. And that sort of attitude taken inside the Department of Justice and dealing with a lot of these careerists in DOJ, that's something that I think Trump probably finds pretty attractive, and frankly, I do too. Chris on I-65.
Hi, good morning. Yeah, I don't know if Gates is going to get confirmed or not based on this report that they're going to release. But
they're not releasing
Gates or not. I think all these people are just change agents. I think they're all just going in there to make the changes that they can. And keep in mind, even though he has a 2-year mandate, they've got 4 years to stretch out all of these investigations and maybe even run statute of limitations on things.
Thanks for the call, Chris.
Dan, can you help us all out? So Gates' resignation, that's, because the committee, the DOJ is not, they're not bringing charges against him against these allegations of, illicit drug use, sexual misconduct,
They've
blah,
already
blah, blah.
they announced way back
Right.
that there's no charges.
But according to reports, his when he resigned from Congress yesterday, that the committee's probe also ended and no report's going to be issued.
Yeah, they don't have jurisdiction anymore because he's out of Congress. But here's the thing. If they say, oh, he's trying to get ahead of a House Ethics Committee report that will include some damaging allegations, well, that has to be part of the vetting process that Trump's team went through, because you can be sure that whatever was in that report is going to make its way to the public arena, or it's going to make its way to Democrat senators who will use information from the report that was never made public when they question Gates for his confirmation. So there has to be an assessment, a threat assessment that was done as to the entire investigation, the entire allegations that surrounded Gates, this report. So I said that Trump and Team Trump have to believe, it would only make sense that they have to believe there was no there with respect to these allegations swirling around Gates and whatever was going to come out of House Ethics. Mike and Hammond.
Hey, thanks for taking my call. If qualifications are something that's required for this job, look at the last 4 years and all the DEI hires and appointments that Biden made. There are no qualifications necessary for anything anymore, from Kareem Jean-Pierre to even having Harris as his running mate, Lloyd Austin, Pothole Pete, you name it. There's probably 10 more I've forgotten about, but qualifications are necessary, and all the antics aren't necessary. We need these guys to clean the swamp and the deep state, because every 3-letter agency is one-sided. They're against the conservatives and the Republicans, and it's all because it's all in D.C. We need to depower D.C. Put these agencies elsewhere.
Thanks for the call. Well, that's another thing I'd love to see him do. We've talked about a bit too. Victor Davis Hanson and others have suggested that take some of these agencies, and to the extent that they're going to continue to exist in current form, and move them out of D.C., start to break up the Beltway a little bit and distribute it around the country, so you can't have this concentration of power and money and influence. It's all very cozy, isn't it? Where, members of Congress are married to lobbyists who are, right. or news, quote unquote, news reporters and so on and so forth. That's very incestuous, and some of that gets broken up if you distribute the largesse throughout the country.
But I will tell you, if Trump's, infusing young blood into his administration, these are, up and coming Republican members.
Yeah, and look,
I mean, they're already established, but I'm just saying that he's building the team.
You got guys and gals in their 40s and 50s. I mean, it's definitely younger, next generation leadership, which is all well and good. The credential thing. I agree that credentials alone do not tell the story or do not justify a nominee or somebody elevated to a particular position. I don't want to dismiss them completely out of hand, right? Background, accomplishments, some of the credentials are part of the record to consider. But, for anybody who is more credential-oriented, sorry, all the credentialed people, all the quote-unquote experts have destroyed or certainly diminished the importance of those formerly important credentials, like where you went to college and where you got your law degree and so on and so forth, because of their performance during COVID and since, and at the highest levels of power, too, as we saw with Merrick Garland, as we saw with these generals. So, for people who are hyper-focused on credentials and think that Hegseth or Gates are lacking, well, to the extent that credentials used to be important or more important, the credential people and the people focused on credentials have diminished their importance. You've done it to yourselves.
I mean, just say Sam Brinton, okay? He was the guy in charge of nuclear waste who was a klepto. I mean, he would steal women's designer luggage to take their clothes.
He was not somebody that had particularly impressive credentials.
Right.
That was an identity politics hire.
Exactly. Right. So if any of your friends say, oh, Matt Gaetz, oh, Tulsi Gabbard, just show them Sam Brinton.
Yes. I mean, it's sort of pointless to talk to the left about these things, other than, yes, the comparison contrast. But in terms of the standards, as I said before, the standard for appointments that Trump makes is not the terrible appointments that Biden or Obama made, because they appointed people based on identity who were unqualified or underqualified or who did terrible jobs even though they had the credentials. Doesn't mean that Trump gets a pass on doing the same thing. That makes no sense. Eric in Rolling Meadows.
Hey, good morning, guys. It's perfect. As this younger generation, get rid of the old bureaucrats, like you said, and when it comes to credentials, I mean, look at Amala. What credentials did she have, right? So, guys, have a great day.
Thanks for the call, Eric. David Winnetka.
Hey, good morning, guys. Yeah, I'm with Amy on that luggage freak. Oh, my God. I remember, speaking about audibly gasping earlier, the first time I saw a picture of that thing, I gasped. But I wanted to say the double standard of these, like Prager says, if they didn't have double standards, they wouldn't have any. And I remember figureheads, like prominent figureheads that people listen to, like Pelosi's and, what have you not, basically giving the green light to, hurt, kill, maim, do whatever the Republicans you can. They got to be stopped at any cost. And I remember one particular show, I think it was you guys, where this kid and a guy that was 24, 39, they got in a political snafu argument. The 39-year-old, who was a Dem, ran the kid over with his truck, killed him, and then was back to work, I think, by Monday. And there was no retribution. It's just disgraceful. It's ugly. All right, guys, thanks so much.
Thanks for the call, David. Sarah, Glenview.
Yeah, A.G. Barr. I mean, I was impressed with his credentials, but how did it all end? Not very well.
Yeah, I agree, Sarah. He was on a number of fronts. He was disappointing, no question
Jeff
about
Sessions.
it. Tony in Colorado Springs.
Hey, morning. Thanks for taking my call. I thought I heard Speaker Johnson last night clarify the reason why Gates resigned. He's on the clock for a special election of Governor DeSantis to replace him, and so also for Governor Hochul in New York. So I think all this has been calculated by the Trump team, and I think it's a great pick.
Okay. All right. Thanks for the call, Tony. That's right, with respect to the special election. Just in terms of a little bit more Gates, this is another good foray from Gates. He was very good going after Lloyd Austin and the generals, too. This was after Austin had gone AWOL.
Oh, yeah, when he disappeared.
And
don't tell your boss you have cancer, you're having surgery.
And Gates coming to Congress, kind of sort of offering a mea culpa and seeking absolution from Congress. Let's just put this all behind us. And the comparison Gates made.
You didn't tell the president that you had cancer, that you were being treated for cancer, or that the treatment for that cancer had gone wrong because you saw it as personal and medical. And I think a lot of us have empathy for you in that regard. But now that you see how personal medical decisions are, will you call for the re-recruitment, restoration of full rank and back pay for the 8,600 service members who were vax mandated out of the military?
No, I won't.
So on March 4th, 2021, you authored a memo. It was entitled Message to the Force. And in that memo, you said that there would be clear and swift accountability for anyone who didn't meet the highest standards of the Department of Defense. Now, however this worked out, we all acknowledge that what you did here didn't meet the highest standards, right? You made a mistake.
I admit it to...
Yeah, okay, so we got that. So then the question is, what becomes the clear and swift accountability? Now, you're not going to be discharged, right? No?
That's right.
Okay, you're not going to be suspended. You're not going to be demoted, and you're not going to have your pay cut. None of those things are going to happen to you, right?
That's right.
Okay. Mr. Secretary, you come to us seeking forgiveness, but you offer none. And it seems as though the pattern is repeated. You make a mistake, like on the vax mandate and here regarding your notification, then you get busted. President Biden had to sign something into law reversing your vax mandate. You got busted here, not because you came forward, but because we learned of this through other means. And then after you get busted making a mistake, you want that benefit, but you don't want to extend it to others. This isn't swift or clear. You're not meeting your own standards that you set for yourself. And you say that the DOD is a learning organization. Haven't you learned yet that the military is weaker, not stronger, with the 8,600 people that you vax mandated out of the military?
As I said, when he's good, he's very good. So we can only hope that we get a 4 years of a very good Matt Gates as AG.
We have a lot of text messages. This one's really good. Dan and Amy, I get it. People hated him 4 years ago, and people still hate him. But I've seen a lot of hate thrown his way. But this guy is a consistent winner and an overachiever. Call it jealousy or envy. Some people just can't handle how successful he is and how much money he has. Yes, there have been some scandals, maybe some lies, maybe a few times he twisted the truth to make himself look good. But he's out there every day proving his haters wrong time after time.
Okay, well, we'll see. I mean, he's going to, that very good Matt Gates that you've heard in some of these previous exchanges that we've played, that's going to have to be the Matt Gates that shows up for that confirmation hearing, I can tell you that. Dan and Amy, Chicago's Morning Answer.
Before you see it on TV, share it on Facebook, or read about it in the paper. Hear it here first. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
If you're self-employed and purchase your own health insurance, I have some great news. From now until January 15th, the health insurance exchanges are open again. And even if you've never qualified for a health insurance subsidy before, you most likely will now. The American Rescue Plan expanded subsidy eligibility to millions of Americans who have never qualified before. even to those with high income levels. And this year, you can purchase a PPO policy, which includes access to Northwestern Medical Group. Employers who provide small group coverage also have new options, and so do seniors looking for Medicare supplement coverage. Call me. I can help.
If you're tired of calling a bureaucrat at an 800 number to help you navigate Obamacare, then you need a local expert on your side. C. Stephen Tucker from healthinsurancementors.com is someone I know and trust. He's a 30-year licensed broker who's been educating our listeners for more than 10 years. Steve, how can our listeners get in touch with you?
Thanks, Dan. They can visit healthinsurancementors.com or call me directly at 630-674-1551. 630-674-1551.
All right, if you're purchasing a new home or refinancing your existing home, you need to call Team Hochberg, your trusted local lender. Meet Jordan, 60, score 26. Wait, his credit score is 620. He married Bonnie, 59. Her score was 510. Ooh, combined annual income, 80 grand. Bonnie's an in-home caregiver who couldn't work during COVID, which destroyed her credit and forced them to live off their credit cards. Jordan reluctantly called David after unsuccessfully trying to refinance multiple times with various lenders. David helped Jordan refinance, pay off 30 grand of credit card debt, reduce their payment $1,500 a month, and created a plan to rebuild Bonnie's credit. Let's review. After Jordan and Bonnie were rejected by multiple lenders, David helped them do cash out refinance, save 18 grand a year, and helped Bonnie revitalize her credit. If your suffocating credit card debt is keeping you up all night or stressing you out, call David now for a complimentary mortgage review. The number is 855-563-2843 or visit 56david.com. That's a lot easier. 56david.com. The number again, though, write it down, 855-563-2843 or visit 56david.com. Lower.com, equal housing lender, NMLS 1124061.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
We'll come back to Trump administration talk a little bit later, but at 6:36, we'll talk about one of these cultural stories that speaks to where we are versus where we should be. A Georgia mom facing prison time for allowing her son to walk to town. 6:36.
All right. And then what's next for Kamala Harris? The Dems have a plan. But now let's head into the newsroom. Here is Mike Scott.
51 degrees, rain and fog this morning at 6:32. House Republicans nominating Speaker Mike Johnson to retain the gavel for another 2 years. Meantime, Johnson says Matt Gaetz submitted his resignation effective immediately, just hours after being nominated by President-elect Donald Trump to be U.S. Attorney General. At a news conference Wednesday, Johnson admitted the decision by the Florida congressman caught everyone by surprise.
I asked him what the reasoning was, and he said, well, you can't have too many absences. So under Florida state law, there's about an 8-week period to select and fill a vacant seat.
Republicans also voted Steve Scalise as House Majority Leader. An unprecedented shakeup at the Pentagon said to be in the works this morning. Reuters is reporting members of President-elect Trump's transition team are making a list of military officers to be fired. Sources saying the shakeup will include the Joint Chiefs. Georgia's election interference case is going to continue. Re-elected District Attorney Fani Willis has indicated she'll intend to push forward with the 2020 investigation involving multiple suspects. Lunchables are out the door and out of school lunch rotations nationwide. Kraft Heinz pulling the products from the National School Lunch Program due to weak demand. Mayor Brandon Johnson will oversee a special Chicago City Council meeting today where he will face opposition to a proposed $300 million property tax hike. School leaders in Kenosha, Wisconsin want security at all doors of their schools. Parents pushing the city school board yesterday for secure entrances at every Kenosha school after a 13-year-old showed up at Roosevelt Elementary with a suspicious bag. Police say Roosevelt's secure doors kept the teen out, forcing him to go to the front door where adults were able to stop him. 7 schools in Kenosha do not have secure doors like Roosevelt.
For the 7 schools without a controlled entrance, we're going to be using the rest of the vape settlement money to pay for a staff member to escort at the door.
The district plans to ask voters for a new levy in February of next year to build out secure doors for all schools. European food delivery giant JustEatTakeaway.com is selling Chicago-based Grubhub for $650 million, just a fraction of the billions it spent to buy the U.S. platform 3 years ago. Wonder Group, a New York-based food ordering company that touts fast, fine dining, is set to be Grubhub's new owner. The Chicago-based firm Grubhub operates in more than 4,000 U.S. cities with over 375,000 merchants and partners. Bulls hold off the Knicks, 124-123 last night. Blackhawks take on Seattle, and the Fighting Illini now 3-0 after a win over Oakland. Number 2 Alabama is next on November 20th. The news, a service of Balance of Nature, fruits and vegetables in a capsule. Save 35% off your first preferred order with promo code Chicago. Order online. Hurry, offer ends soon. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Charlie Kirk sees the hard work pay off.
I just want to say the gratitude people are showing me. I feel weird when people say, Charlie, congratulations. I'm like, man, I didn't get married. The country is saved. This is your victory as much as mine. You know what I mean? This is a victory for every human being on the planet. This is good for Ukrainians right now that are getting mowed down. We knew what we were doing the whole time. Donald Trump, everybody, is president-elect.
The Charlie Kirk Show. Afternoons at 1, right before Sebastian Gorka at 3 on AM 560. The Answer.
This is Sean Thompson. When you go on vacation, does it make sense to have somebody else pack for you? Of course not. The same can be said for your retirement. Your 401k could be packed with things you don't know about or even need. If you're close to retirement, but you don't have a plan customized to your goals, it's like kind of taking a 30-year vacation with no idea what's in the suitcase. Sounds like a stressful way to begin what should be a relaxing time. Tom Fortino at Alpha Wealth Group can help you unpack your savings and build a plan to reduce future taxes, address Social Security and health care, and a whole lot more, all with a clear, defined income strategy. Call the Alpha Wealth Group at 630-934-1855. Ask for the complimentary retirement plan. That's 630-934-1855 or online at alphawealthgroup.com. And listen to the Alpha Wealth Hour Saturday mornings at 9 a.m. right here on AM 560.
Advisory services through Retirement Wealth Advisors, LLC, and SEC Registered Investment Advisor. Insurance and annuities offered through Alpha Wealth Group, licensed in Illinois.
Let's get real. Did you wake up this morning with joint pain? Does it hurt doing the most routine activities? Have they told you it's time for knee or hip replacement surgery? Hi, it's Amy Jacobson, and stop what you're doing and listen. You deserve a life of comfort and ease with no surgery and no meds. And if you're a good candidate for these new treatments, QC Kinetics can get you there. Folks, it's an all-natural approach that harnesses your body's own healing properties to treat the root cause of your arthritic pain. Tens of thousands of satisfied patients with more every day. Yes, you can have real lasting relief from chronic joint pain without drugs, without surgery, without downtime. Learn about all of your options at QC Kinetics. The consultation is free with Saturday appointments available. Call 312-809-5955. That's 312-809-5955. QC Kinetics. Call 312-809-5955.
Need to hire quality candidates fast? You need Indeed. Our video interview tool makes it easy and effortless to meet with candidates. Visit Indeed.com/credit.
6:39, Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. And this update is service of the Byrna Less Lethal Launcher. How are you preparing to protect your family from the increase in crime? The Byrna Launcher can stop an attacker in their tracks. Visit Byrna.com/radio for 10% off your purchase. Route 390, the toll road, eastbound at Gary Avenue. Big accident involving a deer and a vehicle being cleared out of your way at this time. Things are slow as you begin your Dan Ryan trip. Inbound between Garfield and the Stevenson, all jammed up and they're cleaning up an earlier accident on the inbound Ike between Mannheim and Cicero. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. Now, your official Chicagoland weather forecast. Mostly cloudy this morning with a shower, coming breezy by the afternoon, a high of 54. Drizzle and fog in the area, 51 at O'Hare. Your next news update is at 7. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios.
It's time for Dan Prof's parenting tips. Whoa, Dan Prof's parenting tips. Whoa, tell your kids to shut up and listen to him.
You're a child. The parenting tip today brings us to rural Georgia, Fannin County, Georgia, to be specific. And it's the story of Brittany Patterson and her 10-year-old, now 11-year-old son, Soren. Late October, just last month, the end of last month, Soren walked to town from their home, and that became a problem with law enforcement.
Shocked to be arrested in front of her children.
It was anger and frustration, of course, because my children were having to witness that.
All because her then 10-year-old son was spotted walking alone in Mineral Bluff, Georgia, a town with a population of about 370.
It's really not even a town, hardly. It's not a super dangerous or even dangerous at all stretch of road.
Brittany Patterson lives less than a mile from town with her father and children. On October 30th of this year, she had to take her eldest son to a medical appointment. Her youngest son, Soren, didn't want to come, she said, so she left him at home. Then she received a call from a police officer.
So when you got that phone call from the police officer saying, hey, do you know your kid is in town? What did you think?
I said no. I didn't know he was in town. I was not expecting them to say that, but I wasn't terrified for him or scared for his safety.
The police officer drove Soren home, she says, and made it clear it was problematic. Brittany didn't know where Soren was. At that point, Brittany thought the ordeal was over until officers showed up that evening to arrest her.
They asked me to put my hands behind my back and all that stuff, and I realized what was going on.
Brittany was taken to county jail, booked, and then released on $500 bail. She's now facing a misdemeanor charge of reckless conduct. The arrest warrant saying she, quote, knowingly did endanger the bodily safety of her juvenile son. If found guilty, she could face up to 1 year in prison and a $1,000 fine.
312-642-5600, turnkey.pro, answer and text line. The question is, would you sign a safety plan constructed by the state in order to avoid the charges that Brittany Patterson is facing? Because let me give you the rest of the story. Pardon my Paul Harvey.
Okay.
After she was released with bail, which is on bail where the local news left off, DCFS came out for a home visit, went out to interview her oldest son at his school. A few days later, DCFS, or I guess it's DFCS in Georgia, but you get the point, presented Patterson with a safety plan for her to sign. It would require her to delegate a, quote, safety person, unquote, to be a knowing participant and guardian and watch over the children whenever she leaves home. The plan would also require Patterson to download an app onto her son's phone, allowing for his location to be monitored. Patterson did not want to be compelled to track her son. She had counsel call the ADA to discuss the case. And the ADA, Assistant District Attorney, said, she signs the safety plan, we've dropped the criminal charges. Her attorney responded that if she had to sign a safety plan simply because her son walked someplace without her knowing his exact location, it would stop him from visiting friends or having any independence whatever. But the district attorney's office maintained that Soren, this 10-year-old, now 11, had been endangered, thus a safety plan was necessary. Patterson is refusing to sign the safety plan. I will not sign. Would you? 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro, answer line.
No. As a mom of 3 boys, I would never, ever sign something like that. And shame on them for even doing this. I mean, this is just an example of a small town that they're a bunch of nosy bodies. And the cops probably have nothing else to do, and they see a 10-year-old. I mean, he's 10 years old. walking around. I mean, was he jaywalking? Was he in peril? No. He was just a kid exploring.
The how the cops were notified was a woman saw him walking on the road and asked, "Are you okay?" And he said, "I'm fine." And she called the cops anyway. This calls to mind that story out of Wilmette from 5 or 6 years ago that we covered, where a mom let her 8-year-old walk the dog around the block, and some Wilmetian called the cops, and it became this whole big thing, just like this has become a whole big thing here in rural Georgia. And again, she had drove her eldest son to a medical appointment, and that's when her youngest son, Soren, he wasn't around when it was time to leave. She said, "I figured he was in the woods or at grandma's house, who lives on the 16 acres with her kids and her father. Her husband works out of state. So there's mother, sisters. They live just 2 minutes away. So that's what she figured. However, he wasn't playing in the woods. He decided to walk downtown in this small rural community. The safety plan is one thing. What is just about like the idea that a 10-year-old can't have any independence, any sort of unsupervised, especially in the context here of this community. I mean, when I was 11, I started caddying.
Right.
So that means I was riding my bike from my house to Chicago Golf Club at 11, unsupervised. And the response is, if a law enforcement official does the whole anything could have happened. Yes, anything could have happened all the time, everywhere. But that there's criminal culpability that attaches unless you sign a safety plan that will expose you to criminal liability in perpetuity if, for whatever reason, your son is left unsupervised and some busybody, as you say, calls the police again, and the police come, "Hey, you violated the safety plan you signed. Now you're facing charges." And so, I mean, it just becomes a ongoing state intervention into your family.
312-642-5600. You can call us or text us on that very same line.
Joe in Naperville.
Yeah, don't sign. The federal government is so good at child safety. They lost 320,000 kids. And also, the kid can't walk, but if he wanted to get puberty blockers and get his penis chopped off, boy, they would have been really supportive. Maybe that's what he should have just said. I was walking into town because I wanted to get information about how to become a woman. Then they would have left this kid alone.
Okay. Of course, we're not talking about the federal government here. We're talking about a small rural community in Georgia. But your point is well taken. It's government at every level. Greg in Jefferson Park.
Hey, good morning, guys. This is the Stasi at work. My brother lives in a small town of about 800 people south of Effingham here in Illinois, where everybody knows everybody.
Right.
These cops should have known who these kids are. They're in the schools, they're in everything else, but they're just doing their job. We're only doing our job, and then the government's only doing its job. They won't bust the gangbangers. You've got big drug problems and drug trafficking going on in small towns, believe it or not. But they don't take care of that. But this kid, heading downtown to hang out with a couple of his buddies, whatever he's doing, that's criminal. It's just astonishing. You guys have a good one.
Well, and who decides how much freedom kids should have? I think the parents do. I mean, if they're responsible, why would he want to go to his brother's doctor's appointment? Stay home, and if you want to walk around, go ahead and walk around. It's not dark out or anything.
We talk about movies that couldn't be made today, TV shows that couldn't be on the air because of, identitarian politics. Also because of safetyist politics. Could they make Stand By Me today?
Oh,
those kids just wandering around by themselves and they find the dead body and so on and so forth. Where were the parents? Arrest the parents. That's how Stand By Me, a 2024 version of Stand By Me would be. The story would be the parents getting arrested for allowing the kids to wander around by themselves. I mean, the underlying point is, can a 10-year-old walk to town if mom thinks it's safe to do so?
Yes.
I mean, it's sort of a reasonable person standard as a third-party observer. I mean, there is this point we've made often sort of Greg from Jefferson Park just made it. They're just doing my job. I have these rules, but I'm not allowed to use my judgment. We have all these rules and strictures and ordinances and so on and so forth. So we don't have to mess with adults making sensible judgments in context. Alex, Carroll Stream.
Morning, Dan and Amy. Yeah, I grew up in a small town in mid-central Indiana, about 2,000 people. When I was 15, I was babysitting my younger brothers, and my parents would go off on weekends to see bands that they liked. Not that they were irresponsible, but it was just a different time.
Yeah. Thanks for the call, Alex.
Wow, were they
I
deadheads?
guess. Well, again, a 10-year-old. I mean, this is
not a crisis. It's not as if a wanted kidnapper was roaming the streets of their small town or something.
Yeah, it's just this idea that everything has to be supervised, and we know from actual child experts in kids like Leonard Sachs that like unsupervised playtime, it's important for kids' development, but alas. Frank in Tinley Park.
Yeah, in some Oriental city, 60 Minutes had a story of very young children getting on trains, going to the city, getting up early and coming home and cooking dinner, and it's crazy.
Thanks for the call, Frank. Harry in Holly, Michigan.
Hi, good morning, Dan and Amy. Yeah, a couple other points that I had read was one that this family apparently lives on like a 16-acre property.
Yeah.
Her father actually also lives there in like an in-law arrangement as far as a home or maybe a
mother, sisters are 2 minutes down the way. The husband works out of state. I mean, but you've got family all over the place, right? Yeah.
And they're homeschooling their kids, so there's another knock as far as against establishment.
Right.
And the defining factor would also have to be, did they have Trump signs in their yard?
That's a good point.
Thanks for the call, Harry. Although I would think
this kid's adorable.
I would think law enforcement in rural Georgia would be sort of
right
on the Trump side, but maybe not. Mike in Yorkville.
Dan and Amy, good morning. Hey, I didn't realize Martha Paschke moved from Geneva to Georgia. Have a good day, guys.
Thanks, Mike. Martha Paschke, for those who haven't caught the segments over the last couple of days, is Geneva, Illinois trustee or alderhuman who put together with some of these other shrill, maladjusted leftists in the Western Burbs, put together a hit list of businesses in Geneva and St. Charles, Wheaton, the western suburbs, who have committed the crime of supporting Trump or supporting Trump-aligned candidates and need to be boycotted and otherwise targeted for elimination.
And just so you know, Rebel Diners, that group that a lot of people belong to during COVID, this Friday between 11:30 and 1:30 p.m., there's 3 locations you can go to support the people that Martha put on the list to target. Old Republic in Elgin, Foxfire in Geneva, or Rookies in St. Charles.
Or all 3.
Yeah, or get an appetizer at each. Call
have
it a meal.
lunch and then, have a pop at Rookies. Matt in Woodstock, Georgia.
Hey, Dan and Amy. So I grew up in the Chicago area. I live about 60 miles south of this small town, Mineral Bluff. I don't know. I've never been up there myself, but I know that a lot of suburban affluent moms kind of think like Wilmette, Kenilworth area, go up there to vacation. And I just kind of wonder if maybe some of them saw this kid outside, got really paranoid, overreacted, called the police, and the police had to do what they had to do, investigate the situation. So just to provide a little bit more context since I've lived here.
Thanks, I appreciate that. That's good. It probably is the same Wilmette mom that called the police in Wilmette on that girl walking her dog around the block. She's a menace.
She's everywhere, Dan.
Can't shake her. If there's a kid unsupervised, you will find that Wilmette mom there on the phone calling police, wanting the parents hauled away. Oh, my goodness.
What good is that going to do? If she goes, she's not going to go to jail for a year, but, what if she did? That's going to help her family? No, kids need their mothers.
Marco in Romeoville.
Morning, fellas. Ma'am. Okay, yeah, I remember riding my bike all the way to Marquette Park just to go fishing at 11 years old and never had a problem.
From Romeoville?
No.
Oh,
When I lived in Chicago.
Yeah.
Yeah, well.
We used to ride our bikes up to the quarry on Milwaukee Avenue.
Thanks for the call, Mark.
Mount
Well,
Prospect.
Marquette Park is no Mineral Bluff, Georgia. It's a little dicier. I'll tell you that. Joe in Waukegan.
Hey, so with all due respect to my elders and stuff, you guys grew up in times where there were less people, less crime, and it was safe to go downtown without your parents knowing. It's not safe anymore to do that. You need to keep your eyes on your kid, and not to say that people should suffer criminal penalties for letting their kids out of their eyesight for 1 minute, but people should call someone to make sure that a kidnapper doesn't get that kid before the cops do or its parents do.
Well,
I disagree. We had creepy people in vans trying to lure us in with puppies and candy.
Well, that may have been just you. Well, Joe, I mean, not every place is the same. Right. I mean, anything
Sure.
can happen. Anything can happen everywhere. But I mean,
Yeah, so take care of your kids and watch your kids.
Well,
if you talk to the average person who's in their 20s or 30s right now and you say, watch your kid, they say, you can't watch your kid at all times. And you say, like, well, just watch your kids some of the times when they could get hurt. They're vulnerable. They can't think for themselves. If you leave them on the side of the road and it's hot and you tell them to walk a half-mile home, they might not make it. Someone might capture them.
all right, Joe. Thanks for the call. Well, first of all, I mean, Mom was upset that she didn't know that the 10-year-old had gone to town without telling her. She's upset. She communicated that to police, and she, had a conversation with her son about that. But so that's fine, and kids are going to wander, and kids are going to do things. And yeah, nobody's saying just be willy-nilly about your kid, your 9, 10-year-old kid wandering around. But she's got it under control. Law enforcement intercedes, fine, they have to, somebody called. But then the judgment call to get this into a legal matter where we're talking about having to sign on the dotted line for some state-generated safety plan and so on and so forth. There's no evidence that this is anything other than a good mom, family, or and good family on the property and so on and so on. It's so over the top. Everything has to be run through the government, and nothing can be cultural in nature. Hey, next time, blah, blah, blah. Don't worry, officer, I'll take care of this. And back in the day, different time, in many families, you'd worry more about mom or dad than you would worry about the cops. But I guess that's changed too.
And part of that safety plan that their Division of Family and Children's Services wanted her to sign was to download an app on her son's cell. Right, I know you said that, but I mean, but still, that's.
And we're
some
gonna get,
people have that, and some people that I know put cameras in their kids' bedrooms, which.
Let me tell you something. We're going down this road. We're going to get to a point where tracking your kids, having them having a phone, and you tracking your kids will be mandatory. And if you're not tracking your kids, telephonically, then that will be a violation of municipal ordinances, and you'll be facing a year in jail and so on and so forth. That's where this goes. Greg in Downers Grove.
Hey guys, grew up in Clarendon Hills. When I was 10, we used to be able to take the train everywhere. We go downtown Chicago as long as we stayed in the loop. And then when we were teenagers, pulled over with beer in the car, and the cops would simply park the car on the side of the road, take the keys, and just leave us there. And nobody got arrested or like today. It's just ridiculous.
Thanks for the call, Greg. All right, coming up at 7:07, we'll return to a review of Trump's cabinet selections with Professor William Jacobson, Cornell Law. That's 7:07.
But now let's head into the newsroom. Here is Mike Scott. Good morning, Mike.
Aldermen are set to reject Mayor Brandon Johnson's $300 million property tax hike proposal today. A man shot and killed by police in Gary, Indiana. Illinois will honor a Chicago police officer killed in the line of duty between now and his funeral. A Homer Glen couple is charged in the death of their 2-year-old daughter. A man stabbed at a CTA train stop on the north side. CFD, Chicago Fire, remembering a firefighter who died in the line of duty 1 year ago. Bulls take down the Knicks. Blackhawks visit the Kraken. The Illini, a win over Oakland. WIND Chicago News Time, 7 o'clock.
It's a Republican trifecta. I'm Chris Foster, Fox News. There are still 9 House races still on call, but the Fox News decision desk can now project Republicans will retain control of the House after flipping the White House and Senate. The House has 1 fewer Republican now. Matt Gaetz from Florida resigns after being chosen by President-elect Trump as his Attorney General nominee. He's been under investigation by the House Ethics Committee and was scheduled to vote tomorrow on whether to release its report.
Speaker Mike Johnson says when he had a conversation with Gaetz, Gaetz's reasoning was to basically give Florida Governor Ron DeSantis plenty of time to hold a special election so they don't threaten the majority in the House.
If we start the clock now, if you do the math, we may be able to fill that seat as early as January 3rd when we take the new oath of office for the new Congress. So Matt would have done us a great service by making that decision as he did on the fly. And so we're grateful for that.
But that does not mean that Gaetz has a clear path to Senate confirmation. Mixed reaction in the upper chamber where Senator Tommy Tuberville is supportive, while Senator Kramer calls it a long shot, and Senator Murkowski says he is not a serious candidate.
Fox's Aisha Hosni. President Biden is off to South America today for his final appearances at 2 major world summits.
The APEC summit in Lima, Peru will be President Biden's first stop on this week's long trip. It's where countries that surround the Pacific talk economics and security. Last year's APEC in San Francisco saw President Biden meet one-to-one with Chinese leader Xi Jinping. The two sides have been working to improve relations despite deep divisions on topics like Taiwan. Next week, it's the G20 summit in Brazil. Some analysts say the biggest topic of conversation will be one man not attending, President-elect Donald Trump, and the policies he might pursue. Jonathan Savage, Fox News.
America's listening to Fox News.
51 degrees and fog this morning, 7:02 on AM 560. The Answer. Good morning. I'm Mike Scott. Mayor Brandon Johnson will oversee a special city council meeting where he could face major opposition to a proposed $300 million property tax hike. Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker is adamant, he says, the state must appeal a federal judge's ruling that his gun and magazine ban is unconstitutional.
What we passed, frankly, is reasonable. If nobody's grabbing anybody's guns, like the Republicans like to say, we're simply trying to keep people safe with the guns that are already out there and not add to the problem.
A highly respected federal judge's permanent injunction against the law is not in effect until December 8, unless the appeals court extends the hold on that ruling. An investigation continues into the deaths of 2 that police say were killed in a targeted robbery in Chinatown on Tuesday night. Alderwoman Nicole Lee says the Cook County Medical Examiner's Office has identified the victims.
I don't live far from here. I could walk here from my own home. It's very jarring. And, you know, this is becoming way too normal in this city. And while some of the stats are down, that doesn't matter when 2 people were killed next door to you.
Nurses at the University of Illinois Hospital went on strike Wednesday for the second time this year amid ongoing contract negotiations. And the University of Illinois Chancellor Robert Jones this morning says he's stepping down. Jones is planning to end his tenure as chancellor at the end of the current academic year. This is his 9th year leading the University of Illinois. Bulls hold off the Knicks 124-123 at Madison Square Garden. Blackhawks snap a 2-game losing skid, beating Minnesota in overtime on Sunday, and now they have Seattle on the docket. Number 20 Fighting Illini stay unbeaten with a 64-66-54 win over Oakland. The news service of Papa Nicholas Coffee, a Chicagoland tradition for over 5 generations, combining heritage and innovation in every cup. Hot air roasted locally and cold blended in small batches to ensure premium quality. Choose Papa Nicholas Coffee because great coffee is their family tradition. Online at papanicholas.com. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Get ready for a musical journey like no other when the Trans-Siberian Orchestra returns to Chicago on December 23rd on their Lost Christmas Tour 2024. AM 560 is giving away tickets. Enter today at 560theanswer.com/Christmas. Don't miss the Trans-Siberian Orchestra at the All-State Arena. Go to 560theanswer.com/Christmas.
Hi, I'm Ken Mariotti, owner of Woodland Windows and Doors, a third-generation family-owned business since 1969. We know you're bombarded by choices when shopping for new windows or doors, so we're inviting you to experience the Woodland difference. For decades, we have been transforming living spaces with Marvin Windows, a fifth-generation family business. Marvin replacement windows have been known to increase the warmth of your cold rooms by 10 degrees. Think about that, 10 degrees warmer. When you welcome Woodland into your home, you will get a product expert to transform your living spaces, full-time, dedicated professional installers that you can trust in your home, along with the best products like Marvin. These are the reasons we're proud of our 5-star reviews and family legacy. No gimmicks, no pressure, and upfront pricing are why Woodland Windows and Doors is your trusted window and door expert in Chicagoland. Visit woodlandwindows.com to book your free in-home expert consultation. That's woodlandwindows.com, or stop by our showroom at the corner of Lake and Geary in Roselle.
Have you ever thought about the causes, the brands that you support stand behind? Well, Pure Talk, my cell phone company, supports veterans. They've relieved $10 million in veterans' debt, donated tens of thousands of dollars monthly to prevent veteran suicide, donated $50,000 to Micro Works, and that helps provide scholarships to veterans after active duty. Dial pound 250, say the keyword save now. Do it now, you save an additional 50% off your first month. Pure Talk, America's wireless company. Police officer and K-9 handler Jacob Russell Chaffins was fatally shot while attempting to serve warrants for domestic violence offenses. And thanks to friends like you and your generosity, the Tunnel to Towers Foundation gave the Chaffins family the gift of a mortgage-free home. There's so much more to do and to say thank you to our nation's heroes and their families for their immense sacrifices, all for us. Donate $11 a month. Go to their website, the letter T, the number 2, the letter T.org.
Ho, ho, ho! Time to check the list.
Hey, Santa, you're looking a little rosier than usual.
Yeah, big guy. Is your blood pressure okay?
Gee, I hope so.
You know, you should drink 120 Life.
Totally. 120 Life is a natural way to help control blood pressure without the side effects of medication.
It's a delicious juice drink and powdered mix with natural ingredients like pomegranates and tart cherries.
It tastes great and is shown to work wonders for blood pressure.
Ho, ho! Best put 120 Life on my list.
Try 120 Life yourself, risk-free, with a 2-week trial pack. Order now. Go to 120life.com and use coupon code CHRISTMAS to save 15% and get free shipping. They're so sure it can noticeably lower your blood pressure in 2 weeks, they'll give you your money back if you're not satisfied. Lower blood pressure is the gift that keeps on giving. Order now to get the Christmas special of 15% savings and free shipping. That's 120life.com. Use coupon code CHRISTMAS at checkout.
7:08. Let's get an update on the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center. Time, and this update is a service of Trimlight Chicago. You've got to see it to believe it. Amazing, customizable, and permanent holiday and year-round accent lighting for the exterior of your home or business. It's not too late to book your holiday installation, but do it today. Trimlight Chicago. Kennedy inbound 1 hour, O'Hare into the Burns Circle interchange. The Ike, an exit ramp to southbound Mannheim, shut down due to a jackknife semi, and delays on the Eisenhower outbound. 2 left lanes are blocked before Laramie with an accident in the cleanup stages. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast with Steve Williams.
Mostly cloudy, stray shower in the area this morning, then breezy. High today 54, cloudy tonight and a low 45. Mostly sunny tomorrow, the high 54. Clouds and sun, nice day on Saturday, the high 56. I'm Steve Williams, AM 560, The Answer.
51 at O'Hare, next news 7:30. And Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. So President-elect Trump roiling the Beltway establishment with his nomination of Florida Congressman Matt Gaetz to be Attorney General. That in particular, boy, the controversy over the Hegseth nomination died down very quickly yesterday. Everybody needed to turn their attention to Gaetz, and they certainly did. Lisa Murkowski, one of the Republican senators you would expect to be pretty squishy on Gaetz, said this.
I don't think it's a serious nomination for the Attorney General. We need to have a serious Attorney General, and I'm looking forward to the opportunity to consider somebody that is serious. This one was not on my bingo card.
I'm so sad. Everybody says that now, by the way. That was not on my bingo card.
That doesn't sound like a yes vote to
No.
me. John Bolton, you have to hear from Never Trump World, former U.S. Ambassador to the UN under Trump Term 1. John Bolton, of course, platformed by NBC News and Kristen Welker to say what you would expect somebody from Never Trump World to say. Bolton was a lawyer. I mean, is a lawyer, Yale.
What was your immediate reaction when you heard that?
Well, it must be the worst nomination for a cabinet position in American history. I think this is something that falls well outside the scope of deference that should be given to a president in nominating members of his senior team. Gaetz is not only totally incompetent for this job, he doesn't have the character. He is a person of moral turpitude. And notwithstanding how difficult it may be politically, this is a nomination the Republican Party should oppose.
Mm-hmm. Mark Wayne Mullen, Republican senator from Oklahoma, weighed in on this as well. He's had clashes with Gaetz in the past, but
not ideal. The ideal way is for us to move forward. But if that's the last resort, we will absolutely do it. If Chuck Schumer and the Democrats in the Senate want to keep us from making any of these appointments, we are going to do our best to do whatever we have to do to get the cabinet in a position and get the appointments in a position so President Trump can go to work on day one. So we will do whatever it takes, but that's the last resort.
Are you going to vote for Matt Gaetz?
You know, Matt Gaetz and I, there's no question that we've had our differences. They've been very public about it. I completely trust President Trump's decision-making on this one. But at the same time, he's got to come to Congress and sell himself. There's a lot of, or to the Senate and sell himself. There's a lot of questions that are going to be out there. He's got to answer those questions. And hopefully he's able to answer the questions right. And if he can, then we'll go through the confirmation process.
Well, you know, I think those people that are saying the Gaetz nomination is DOA are a lot of the same people that said Trump could never win a second term. I don't think it's DOA. I think you're hearing some expressions of concern or even opposition from mainly the usual suspects, most of whom will fall in line.
But do you think
and the other thing that Mark Wayne Mullen pointed to, which is part of the conversation, is the prospect of recess appointments, even for AG.
Oh, that's true. And here's Susan Collins, because she's, with her girl pal, Murkowski.
I was shocked that he has been nominated. If the nomination proceeds, I'm sure that there will be an extensive background check by the FBI and public hearings and a lot of questions asked.
Hasn't he already been vetted? I mean, the Department of Justice did not pursue any charges with those allegations that were brought against
well, that's not a full vetting for the purposes of being nominated to a cabinet post. But regardless, Susan Collins hedging there, and she's wise to hedge because Susan Collins is up for re-election in 2026. And you already have Elon Musk saying that he will fund primary opponents against essentially anti-MAGA Republican incumbents, anybody that stands in the way of Trump's agenda. He's happy to provide some financing for primary opposition. So that complicates things a bit, too, because remember, almost to a person, the main thought in the mind of the politician is, how do I get reelected? For more on all this, we're pleased to be joined again by Professor William Jacobson, clinical professor of law and director of the Securities Law Clinic at Cornell. founder of legalinsurrection.com and president of the Legal Insurrection Foundation, as well as the Equal Protection Project. Professor Jacobson, thanks for joining us again. Appreciate it.
Thank you for having me on.
Your reaction to the Gates nomination?
Surprised. I don't think, I don't have a bingo card for this, but he wasn't somebody who was on the top of my mind as a possible nominee.
Yeah.
And so it's surprising. And I think it is, in many ways, a big middle finger by Trump towards the Department of Justice based on what they've done to him. I mean, a lot of people are complaining, this, questions the institution itself. Well, this is the same institution that in the infancy of the first Trump presidency tried to destroy him. Remember, James Comey, director of the FBI, part of the Department of Justice. In many ways, the director of the FBI is as high profile as the Attorney General, set Trump up at a meeting at the White House a day or two into the first term, knowing that Trump wouldn't have lawyers around him, and used that as an excuse to get CNN to leak the phony Steele dossier. So, I mean, is Trump supposed to respect an institution that in his first term tried to set him up? So I think this is a big middle finger. I think this is him saying, it's going to be my Department of Justice. I'm not going to let it destroy me again.
No question. I think that's part of it, and I mean that to some extent. If the rumors are true, I think Kash Patel, as the director of the FBI, would be the same message. And to some extent, I can't blame him, because it is not inconsistent with what he said on the campaign trail for years, which is they're coming at me, but they're really coming for you, and I'm just standing in the way. And we also saw that with the FBI and the Department of Justice, that the Trump treatment was not reserved for Trump. It was reserved for it included people that have particular political views, like that pro-life gentleman out of rural Pennsylvania whose home got raided SEAL Team 6 style, the Catholics that attend Latin Mass, and the memo out of the Richmond office. It did include ordinary Americans that were subjected to similar treatment.
Yeah, I mean, this is an institution that is severely damaged by its own conduct. I mean, they went after, or at least issued memos calling parents who disrupted school board meetings or who wanted to be heard at school board meetings as potential domestic terrorists. They've gone off after all manner of, right-sided political opponents. Remember, a senior prosecutor in the Justice Department miraculously transferred to the Manhattan District Attorney's Office to help the prosecution of Trump by Alvin Bragg. So this is an entirely politicized, weaponized Justice Department. And I think Getz, who again was, not really somebody anybody expected, is Trump's way of saying, I'm not going to let you do this to me again.
Well, if approved, do you think Matt Gaetz would go after Letitia James or Alvin Bragg?
I think he's probably more likely to. I mean, I think they deserve investigation. Whether they deserve prosecutions, something I can't conclude yet. But certainly they deserve investigation. That, when you have two political candidates who announce that if elected to their prosecutor spots, they will use those offices to go after a political opponent. I mean, that's pretty bad. Whether it's criminal or not, I don't know. But it's pretty bad. And so, I think that Getz is probably somebody who would be willing to push the department in that direction. But there may have been other people. And you've raised the issue of whether, he can be confirmed, what's going to happen, et cetera. That's all to be determined. But I'm not as hair on fire as a lot of people are. Again, I would have preferred, I think, that you had somebody who, with the same agenda, but perhaps better, gravitas, if you will, who could work the bureaucracy, because this is a massive bureaucracy, who could maybe get the job done better than Getz will. I mean, Getz will do great press conferences, but is he going to be able to get the job done remains to be seen.
Well, the other thing I'm thinking about, too, particularly, again, going to Kash Patel as possibly the next FBI director. So Patel, in addition to being a former COS for the at DOD, he was a federal public defender as well as a federal prosecutor, particularly on national security cases. So, I'm thinking about this very much like we had the conversation yesterday on our program about Pete Hegseth, which is, there's the face guy who has sort of general working knowledge of the institution and sort of is aligned with the Trump vision to change the culture in these agencies that have been corrupted from the inside out. And then you put teams around them that are perhaps the more experienced implementation people.
And I think that's what you may see here. I mean, you could see Getz, assuming he can get confirmed, or I don't know the intricacies of recess appointments, but assuming he gets a spot, it's really going to be the deputies who are going to run the department. And that, it could be true here. So Gates is not going to get his hands dirty with all the paperwork, but the people who are just below him will. So that remains to be seen for sure.
What do you make of the fact that he resigned from Congress yesterday, considering that the House Ethics Committee was investigating him and they were going to, release this investigation, but now they're not going to?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of strange things about this, and that's probably not good at relating to his chances of getting confirmed. What is in that report? It may not be criminal. I mean, the FBI investigated him for a year or two and ended up not bringing any charges, but it will leak. That House report will leak, or a draft of it will leak for sure. That's almost guaranteed. And so is that going to muddy things up? But there are all sorts of theories floating around the Internet. I'm sure you've seen them, that this was some sort of deal worked out so he would not create a floor fight over who's going to be House Speaker, and they're going to let him resign so the House investigation gets quashed, and then he won't get he won't get confirmed. Essentially, it's something of weird configuration, Rube Goldberg sort of get-out-of-jail-free card for him. I don't know if any of that's true. I think probably more likely is Trump likes him and felt that he would be the person Trump wanted there.
Yeah, I think that's more likely is that Trump is looking for blunt instruments in particular places, and he's and that's the direction that he's moving. And it doesn't mean that you can't be talented and knowledgeable too. And that brings me to something else I wanted to get your views on, and that's DOGE, the Department of Government Efficiency, under the helm of Elon and Vivek. Vivek makes the point in a tweet about the recent case law that provides them what he believes is a lot of room to maneuver when it comes to reducing the size and scope and expense of the federal government. And, of course, he points to the Loper-Bright case, which ended the Chevron deference doctrine, but also SEC versus Jarkizi in 2024, restricting the use of administrative law judges by agencies. The Corner Post v. Board of Governors, the court held new businesses can challenge old regulations, greatly expanding the statute of limitations, opening up many more rules for scrutiny. I mean, the recent this has gotten some attention, particularly the end of the Chevron deference doctrine, but the recent case law in the last couple of terms really does provide a lot more tools for reining in the runaway administrative state, doesn't it?
Well, to the extent there are policies, to the extent there are rules and regulations as opposed to laws, it may enable the new head of that department or the chief executive, meaning the president, to disavow those. And when people challenge them in court, which they undoubtedly will, to invoke the recent case law, which says that, it was improper, arguably, at its start, these different, agency-initiated policies and regulations. But I don't think people should expect that they can come in and announce, these 300 rules and regulations and policies no longer affect, because to the extent they've been implemented by regulation, there's the Administrative Procedures Act. They're going to have to go about it the right way. And the Trump administration first term, if I'm remembering correctly, and I think I am, I just can't remember the specifics, lost a number of cases where they tried to undo Obama policies and rules, and the court said, well, you didn't follow the right procedure to do that. So I don't think it's going to be as easy as just, creating a piece of paper with 500 rules on it and shredding it. But it will open up the opportunity to challenge a lot of things that have been done in prior administrations.
He is Professor William Jacobson, clinical professor of law and the director of the Securities Law Clinic at Cornell, founder of LegalInsurrection.com, and president of the Legal Insurrection Foundation, as well as the Equal Protection Project. Professor Jacobson, thanks so much, as always. Appreciate it.
Take care.
Thank you, and he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
Connect with Dan and Amy on the AM 560 The Answer mobile app. Just text the word app to 64636 to download the app today.
So right now may be the perfect time for you to rethink how you pay for health care. And here's why. This time of year is decision time for a lot of people, but it's also when you can join Metashare and save even more than usual. For many families, joining Metashare means saving about $500 a month, which is a game changer for a lot of people, obviously. But what's more, Metashare members like it a lot. Their satisfaction rate is 98%. Imagine that. And Metashare is a proven thing, too, for over 30 years. It's a Christian community of hundreds of thousands of people now. And here's the thing. If you join before November 15th and you mention the promo code SHARE, they'll waive your application fee, so you save even more right off the bat. I'll give you the number here in a second, but just call and you'll get a price within 2 minutes. And again, the deadline is November 15th. So call now. You'll save even more. Here's the number, 844-47-BIBLE. That's 844-47-BIBLE, 844-47-BIBLE.
Hey, Chris. How was your week?
Oh, sorry, Jen. I can't talk right now. The network is down again, and I can't access any of my files. What's worse, I'm late for a virtual call and past deadline on a project.
Let me help. I'll reboot the cable modem, wait 10 minutes, then reboot the router. Let's see if that works.
Sounds easy enough, but I shouldn't have to play resident IT director every time our equipment goes down. I shouldn't be messing with this IT work.
I agree. This technical stuff is stressing me out, and I'm tired of getting blamed by the boss for all of these outages.
We gotta convince the boss man to find a company to help us. This is just not working.
At Turnkey, we understand the importance of having a network you can count on, one that's reliable and doesn't go down. We provide quick, friendly service when things go wrong with no hidden fees for on-site support. Turnkey is the small business champion, delivering world-class service at the price of a monthly car payment. Visit turnkey.pro. That's turnkey.pro.
The weather is starting to turn to fall, and before you know it, the snow will be flying. Are your tires prepared for the rain and the snow? Remke's Garage sells the most popular tire for this Chicago weather, the Toyo Celsius. Why Toyo, you ask? The Toyo Celsius tire has been uniquely engineered to help you specifically navigate Chicago's extreme weather and road conditions. Not only is the tire the most round, minimizing irregular wear, the asymmetric tread design is able to handle the crazy Chicago weather when it starts raining 1 minute, icy the next, and snowing within a few more minutes. Have peace of mind when going down the road that your tires are prepared for the conditions. Don't wait. Stop by Remke's Garage today and let their team inspect your tires and get you on the road with confidence. Visit them at remkesgarage.com. That's remkesgarage.com, REMKES. Garage.com. Remke's Garage, repairing America.
If you own or run a business and you listen to AM 560, you might not realize that the conservative programming that you enjoy is supported by advertisers. Our loyal listeners love to do business with the advertisers they hear every day on AM 560. Now, it probably won't surprise you that there are some businesses who avoid advertising with us because they don't like what we do here. And that's okay, because our audience wants to support businesses that support what we do and think like we think. We would love to have you join the list of successful companies who are already reaching new, like-minded customers. Most AM 560 advertisers have been here for years for one simple reason: they get results. Join our efforts to make a difference in the lives of our listeners who are passionate about supporting our great family of AM 560 advertisers. To learn more, just visit 560theanswer.com/advertise. That's 560theanswer.com/advertise.
All right, this holiday season, don't forget your Balance of Nature supplements. A proud supporter of this station for 10 years. Remember gingerbread cookies, ice cream, don't provide the fruits and vegetables your body desperately needs every day to stay healthy, happy, and energized. Ask yourself, how many servings of fruits and vegetables, if any, did you have yesterday? And that's where Balance of Nature comes in. 6 capsules a day provides your body, heart, and mind with several servings of 31 different whole fruits and vegetables. I crack mine open into warm water, and you can smell the fruit and the vegetables. You will love it. Your body, mind, and heart will thank you for it. Celebrate this season with Black Friday savings all month long. Order your fruits and veggies today by calling 800-246-8751, 800-246-8751. Use coupon code Chicago to save 50%. Yes, half off your first set and free shipping. The number to call, 800-246-8751. Call now or order online at balanceofnature.com. Use coupon code Chicago.
From breaking news and weather across the country to insight from the brightest minds in conservative opinion, it's Salem News Channel, home to the biggest shows on TV, like Hugh Hewitt weekdays at 6 a.m. Eastern, followed by Mike Gallagher at 9. Join SNC, where facts are sacred, critical thinking is celebrated, and the pursuit of truth is unwavering. Watch Salem News Channel free, now on Xumo Play. Learn more at snc.tv/Xumo.
All right, a lot of people have come up to me and asked me about QC Kinetics, and I said, look, I went to their office, one of their many locations in Oak Brook. I spoke with some people who had the procedure done, and they are pain-free in their joints. Don't just settle for knee or hip replacement. Try QC Kinetics. And if you're a good candidate for these new treatments, QC Kinetics can get you there without surgery, without meds. Here's what it does. QC Kinetics takes your body's own natural approach, healing properties, to treat the root cause of your arthritic pain. Everybody's talking about it again. QC Kinetics joint pain treatments are life-changing for so many, tens of thousands of satisfied patients, with more every day. Yes, you can have real lasting relief from chronic joint pain without drugs, without surgery, without downtime. Learn about all of your options at QC Kinetics. The consultation is free. They'll walk you through the process. They'll do a much better job of explaining how this works. But again, the consultation is free, and Saturday appointments are available. Do it today. Don't wait any longer. You don't have to live like this. The number to call is 312-809-5955. That's 312-809-5955. QC Kinetics. Call 312-809-5955.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Colorado Governor Jared Polis and our very own Jelly Belly will lead the Governor's Safeguarding Democracy initiative in response to Trump's reelection. They're going to be the resistance, Jelly Belly and company. We'll start there with Leo Leibovitz from Tablet at 7:37.
But first, let's stop by that newsroom once again. Here's Mike Scott.
We have fog, rain, and 51 degrees. The countdown is on to President-elect Donald Trump's return to the White House. He was there yesterday meeting with President Biden for about 2 hours. Trump announcing the nomination of Florida Republican Matt Gaetz for U.S. Attorney General, and Tennessee Republican Senator Bill Hagerty, for now, is behind the nomination.
They've completely weaponized the DOJ, going after parents at school board meetings. You think about going after the sitting president's opponent, his own political opponent, President Trump.
Senator Mitch McConnell calls the choice of John Thune as the next Senate Republican leader well-deserved.
It's a new day in the United States Senate, and it's a new day in America. The American people have loudly rejected the failed policies of the Biden-Harris-Schumer agenda.
The South Dakota senator chosen over 2 secret ballot votes over Rick Scott and John Cornyn. Israel says 15 trucks carrying aid have been allowed into northern Gaza. The trucks entering Gaza with aid from the United Arab Emirates. Authorities say a man who failed in an attempt to break into Brazil's Supreme Court has killed himself in explosions outside of that building. Mayor Brandon Johnson will oversee a special city council meeting today where he could face opposition to a proposed $300 million property tax hike. The investigation continues into the shooting deaths of 2 that police in Chicago say were killed in a targeted robbery in Chinatown Tuesday night.
As the Asian communities are going through all this, I mean, we're processing, we're telling our friends, our family to be careful.
The Cook County Medical Examiner's Office identified the victims as 32-year-old Feng Gao and 33-year-old Jianru Zhang. Nurses at the University of Illinois Hospital went on strike yesterday. Illinois Nurses Association represents 1,700 nurses at the hospital who have been in contract negotiations since June. Bulls hold off the Knicks 124-123 last night. College hoops, the Fighting Illini stay unbeaten with a win over Oakland. The news service of Papa Nicholas Coffee, a Chicagoland tradition for over 5 generations, combining heritage and innovation in every cup, hot air roasted locally, cold blended in small batches to ensure premium quality. Choose Papa Nicholas Coffee because great coffee is a family tradition. Online, papanicholas.com. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Larry Elder is still basking in it.
It went far better than even I had imagined. I said before, I knew he would do better than he did 4 years ago. But to literally obliterate Kamala Harris. And by the way, Kamala Harris underperformed Joe Biden in every single county in America.
The Larry Elder Show. Weeknights at 8, right before Sean Hannity at 10 on AM 560. The Answer.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-575-6745. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS.
Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start.
Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems.
We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau.
You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com
or call 800-575-6745. That's 800-575-6745.
Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
I love giving jewelry as a gift. Roland's Jewelers is the perfect place for that magical holiday gift. Hi, it's Mike Gallagher. Roland's Jewelers is the absolute perfect place for the magical holiday gift for someone you love. Buying jewelry is about trust. Roland's is the jeweler I trust. I'm a customer, and I'm always amazed by their 5-star Google reviews, so many of them. But why not? They're the best. They're family-owned. Hey, getting engaged? Roland's has a large selection of mined and lab-grown diamonds at great prices. Choose from beautifully crafted engagement rings from designer Simon G. or Italian designer Roberto Coin, offering stunning diamond pendants and earrings. How about a Tag Heuer watch with cutting-edge technology? I love mine from Roland's. I continue to be impressed at how expertly trained their staff is. Visit Roland's Jewelers in downtown Libertyville or RolandsJewelers.com. That's Roland's, ROLLANDS, Roland's Jewelers, a family-owned jeweler you can trust, just like I do.
Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies supplements, changing the world one life at a time.
My husband's a retired cop, and I worked in a hospital for years. I'm going out right now because I'm getting ready to paint my fence. It's just literally amazing. And, you know, you watch the TV articles, you go, yeah. Well, at least it's 100% returnable if it doesn't work. I'm not kidding you. It is the most amazing product I've ever taken.
Oh, I have a friend, Julia, who has taken a Balance of Nature now for quite some time, and she said, "Oh, Becky, ask your doctor about taking Balance of Nature." So I talked to my doctor about it, and she said, "Oh, try it."
Celebrate this season with Black Friday savings all month long. Go to balanceofnature.com and sign up as a new preferred customer to get 50% off your first preferred set. Don't miss out. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this exclusive Black Friday offer by using discount code CHICAGO.
Is thinning hair or a receding hairline making you self-conscious? Try Hair Grow from New Nordic. Stop feeling embarrassed about thinning hair and start feeling your best with Hair Grow.
7:39, Team Hochberg Traffic Center time, a service of almostfreeteeth.com. What if you could save an average of 90% for dental implants and get 100% of your smile back? With the Blue Cross Blue Shield, PPO, or FEP, it's possible. Check if you qualify, almostfreeteeth.com. The Eden's 90 minutes from O'Hare into the Burns Circle interchange. The Ike exit ramp that had been shut down southbound to Mannheim Road has just been reopened. A spilled over dump truck has been cleared from that scene. Outbound Ike, an accident with a left lane block. That's outbound before Cicero. Solid traffic on the inbound Stevenson between First Avenue and Kedzie. Stevenson outbound report of an accident between Ashland and Central. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. Now your official Chicagoland weather forecast. Cloudy with a morning shower becoming breezy, a high of 54. Cloudy and light rain, 51. Your next news update is at 8. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. If you're looking for the latest news, insight into what it means, and the sharpest opinion, there's only one station in Chicago where you can turn, and it's this one. We're AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. We were discussing this a bit yesterday, the relatively muted response of the left to Trump's resounding victory, along with that of Senate and House Republicans. Certainly as compared to 2016.
Oh, my God, it's just eerily quiet. Like back then, everybody was wearing the hats, the pea hats, and complaining and nothing.
It's not nothing, but it's different. Dan Henninger, writing in the Wall Street Journal about this, has a thoughtful take. After setting up the fact that over the last 50 to 60 years, we became one big college campus in this country, certainly culminating during the Biden years. He writes, as with the 10-year aging of the anti-Trump protesters, the simple answer is that the traditional Democrat mindset aged out. It's been replaced in Congress, state houses, and city councils by politicians who internalize the groupthink nonsense they learned about race and class at the universities. That's why they all sound the same. It's remarkable that by the end of this election, Donald Trump actually ran successfully on restoring common sense. I guess it's a powerful idea again. How the Democratic Party reverse engineers all of this is easier said than done. But say this, if 19-year-olds would rather react to the 2024 election with cookies and cocoa than lying in front of the Lincoln Tunnel, it looks like progress to me. Yes. Yes.
Good.
Yeah.
Good.
The, comfort animals and the jigsaw puzzles and coloring books and cocoa on college campuses, that's still a part of it. But it is definitely not the same as a decade ago. And part of it is just aged out. And this mentality may be losing its grip even among some that otherwise hew to it at present. And you see this interest in terms of the drop-off that we've talked about over the last several days, drop-off in viewership on all these MSNBC shows, drop-off in subscribers to leftist podcasts that podcaster David Pakman was complaining about. Very interesting cultural phenomenon. In the short term, it could change. For more on this and related topics, pleased to be joined again by Leo Leibovitz. He's the editor-at-large for Tablet and host of the new podcast. Speaking of podcasts, Rootless is the name of his. Leo, thanks for joining us again. Appreciate it.
A pleasure as always. It's morning in America.
Yes. Well, MORN for us and MOURN for them. So what do you attribute to the muted response compared to 2016 and just the general horror that they display at the prospect of a Trump presidency and display throughout this campaign? But then he wins a resounding victory, and it's pretty quiet.
Look, first of all, I think it is kind of a normal human response when an overwhelming majority of Americans tell you that they dislike you and every single thing you believe. Even the most kind of, dogged lunatic would pause and listen. But I'm not that optimistic, to be honest, that the Democratic Party would actually kind of have some soul-searching and mend its ways. There's a great book, I believe from the 60s, called When Prophecy Fails, in which scientists talk to a doomsday cult that believed that the world would end at a certain date. And they went to them the next morning when the world clearly didn't end and said, hey, what do you believe now? And they said, oh, no, we believe even more that we were correct. I think what we're seeing in the Democratic Party now as a muted response is just preparation to double down on the same terrible, bad, loathsome ideas.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's certainly indicated from our governor here in Illinois and another governor, probably with presidential aspirations, Colorado Governor Jared Polis. They're leading what they're calling the Governor's Safeguarding Democracy Initiative in response to Trump's reelection. Pritzker saying what we're doing is pushing back against increasing threats of autocracy and fortifying the institutions of democracy that our country and our states depend on. Right. Basically, without providing any specifics, because all of these threats are to be named later when Trump actually takes office and they can identify something.
It's the same playbook. You know, here in New York, and I think in California too, they call it Trump-proofing the state, which means tripling down on all the policies, you know, most Americans just rejected. But the thing that really concerns me more, you know, I write for a major Jewish publication. First Trump administration, we had all these like spurious, ridiculous, you know, preposterous accusations that a host of people in the Trump universe were Nazis. You know, famously, National Security Advisor Seb Gorka was literally accused of being, you know, kind of an actual Nazi. Now we're seeing the exact same rhetoric applied to, you know, the Attorney General like Brad Gates. It really is like they have learned absolutely nothing. There's one playbook, and that's the one they're running with.
What do you think of Mike Huckabee as ambassador to Israel?
I honestly, I don't know why we deserve so many wonders. It's too good. It's just freaking fantastic. What a terrific, godly man who understands the region better than most, has deep commitments, and understands that the skirmishes that Israel is fighting right now are not its alone, but rather just the Eastern Front in a war, the ultimate kind of target of which is, you know, the American homeland.
Well, and now think about this as from a team perspective too, with Rubio and Stefanik and Huckabee and Tulsi Gabbard. What does that portend, do you think, not just for Israel but for the region?
Peace, prosperity, security, and normalcy. Look, it is almost impossible to fathom how entirely bonkers, to use a very technical term, American foreign policy has been over the last, you know, decade and a half or two. Think of all the things we've been told are true. Oh, you know, if you move the embassy to Jerusalem, there'll be mass riots, millions will die. And then Trump goes ahead and does it, and it doesn't happen. Oh, you can't have peace between Israel and the Arabs unless you go through the Palestinians first. And then, you know, Jared Kushner comes up with the Abraham Accords, and Trump wills it into power. And now we have a brand new Middle East. Cracking down on Iran, bringing Israelis and Arabs closer, and curbing Palestinian, you know, via anti-Semitism and terrorism. Those are the three things we're going to see a lot more of, and it's going to make for a more secure region and a more secure world.
You wrote a good piece in the New York Post about the Jewish vote in this recently passed election. Hasn't gotten as much attention as Trump's improvement with Black and Latino voters, but the Jewish vote as part of the realignment in the of the working class in the direction of the GOP. Give us the details.
Well, look, in a weird way, I actually think that the loss of so many Jewish voters should freak Democrats out way more than probably any other indicator this electoral cycle. It's still hard to kind of say exactly what the precise numbers are, but I think it's safe to assume that we're looking at something like 40, even 45 support for Trump, which is completely historically unprecedented. The reason this matters is because when you lose the kind of most astute, hardcore Democrat loyal group, you don't just lose the Jews, but traditionally the Jews, as you said, have been deeply sort of tethered to voting with the interests of the working class. So when you lose the Jews, you also lost, you know, Americans, which means not just that you're kind of losing one group block that voted according to other standards or anything like that, but rather that your message is completely and utterly off base. The Democrats have become the party of the wealthy, disconnected, bloated, bloviating elite.
And the response to, I mean, I just think, you know, where some of the issues that at least my experience in electoral politics in places like Chicago and Illinois, the issues that were particularly motivating, like they are to the left in general, like abortion, I think they're declining in importance, and I don't think the hysteria is working like it used to under Roe, when the reality is that you have very different legal regimes in as you go state by state, and all of the sort of handsmaid tale predictions just aren't coming true. They're still, I mean, as you say, or as you said earlier, they're still in the death throes of this. They're still doing the same thing with, the increase in people requesting abortifacients and hormone treatments, that they're stockpiling them like the same people stockpiled toilet paper during COVID. I mean, that's still going on, but it seems like it just doesn't have the cachet, even on the left, that it used to have.
Like a wise Republican said, you could lie to some people sometime, but not all the people all the time. It pains me physically to say something nice about the New York Times, but one of the most astonishing things I have seen in the last week is the New York Times ran a series of interviews with voters. Those are Democrat voters who switched and voted for Trump. And one of them, very, very prominently placed in the article, was a young woman who said, look, I live in a state where abortion laws are restrictive. I had a pregnancy. I had a medical emergency. I was freaking out because everything I have been told led me to believe that I will now, bleed to death on some gurney because I can't receive, life-saving medical procedures. And none of that happened. And when I woke up in the morning, I was like, oh, they have been lying to me. I think a lot of people are having that exact same response.
Leo Leibovitz is the editor-at-large for Tablet, and he is the host of the podcast Rootless. Leo, thanks as always for joining us. Appreciate it.
My pleasure.
Thank you, and he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
Hear about the big stories of the day, then talk about them right here on Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest-growing independently owned business bank. It's a bank where relationships still matter. Signature Bank knows your name and your story. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
I'm Jim Durkin, founding partner of the Martech Group, a global market research firm based in Chicago since 1985 and a longtime customer of Signature Bank. When our business moved to our current Loop location, I recall seeing Mick O'Rourke and his two business partners, Brian Duncan and Kevin Bastuga, laying the foundation for Signature Bank. When Signature opened its doors in 2006, I was proud to move our accounts there and become a shareholder. Being in the consulting business, the Martech Group has a keen understanding of the value of relationships, trust, and attentiveness. Whether dealing with our U.S. practice or our international operations, Signature Bank is always there when we need them. That's why the Martech Group is proud to have Signature Bank as a valued business partner.
Signature Bank is looking for their next success story. To learn more about turning your business vision into reality, visit signaturebank.bank. Signature Bank, helping local businesses succeed. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
All right, you've heard the turnkey name here for years on AM 560. Maybe you've thought that you don't need help because you've made it this far with your network. Well, have you grown your business or acquired another business? Do you have more than one network that you've hobbled together? Maybe your sales team has grown, or your client base, or your network is old and outdated, holding your business back from its full potential. All of these reasons can leave your business open for security breaches, stop production, compromise sales, and cost you thousands of dollars. So be proactive. Don't leave it up to your hourly IT manager that comes in when he's available. Turnkey understands the importance of having a network you can count on. For the price of a monthly car payment, Turnkey will fully protect your network with the most secure, up-to-date cyber protection, unlimited backup, unlimited 24/7 help desk support, and real-time threat hunting, all by world-class technicians who really care about helping people. So protect your small business today. Visit turnkey.pro, champions of small business. That's turnkey.pro.
From humble small-town beginnings to Hollywood stardom and eventually the world stage, Reagan is a cinematic journey of overcoming the odds. Told through the voice of Victor Petrovich, the film offers a unique perspective. With Dennis Quaid as Reagan, this captivating story explores the profound impact of a man who defied expectations to leave an indelible mark on history. Reagan is available on digital and will be available on Blu-ray, DVD, and digital November 19th. For a chance to win a digital download, visit 560theanswer.com, keyword movie.
Let's get real. Did you wake up this morning with joint pain? Does it hurt doing the most routine activities? Have they told you it's time for knee or hip replacement surgery? Hi, it's Amy Jacobson, and stop what you're doing and listen. You deserve a life of comfort and ease with no surgery and no meds. And if you're a good candidate for these new treatments, QC Kinetics can get you there. Folks, it's an all-natural approach that harnesses your body's own healing properties to treat the root cause of your arthritic pain. Tens of thousands of satisfied patients with more every day. Yes, you can have real lasting relief from chronic joint pain without drugs, without surgery, without downtime. Learn about all of your options at QC Kinetics. The consultation is free with Saturday appointments available. Call 312-809-5955. That's 312-809-5955. QC Kinetics. Call 312-809-5955.
At Balance of Nature, the quality of our products always starts with TLC, tender, loving care. We start by ensuring that only the finest fruit and vegetable ingredients are selected for our supplements. We put our ingredients through an advanced vacuum cold process that removes their moisture. Then they're ground up into a fine powder, encapsulated, and voila! Our fruits and veggies supplements are made just for you with love. And our commitment to care doesn't end there. Our customer care team is here to provide assistance, ensuring that you have the support and guidance you need. It's the tender, loving care you can see, smell, taste, and feel with every delivery. Celebrate this season with Black Friday savings all month long. Go to balanceofnature.com and sign up as a new preferred customer to get 50% off your first preferred set. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this exclusive Black Friday offer by using discount code CHICAGO.
The following is not an actor, but a real-life story from Trinity Debt Management.
My debt problem started probably about 2016. I needed my life to change financially. I called Trinity and I ended up joining based on high credit card bills and high interest rate. And my counselor at Trinity has been great, and Trinity has been helping me to get on the right path of paying off these credit card bills, bringing down the interest rate. They have consolidated my bills into one low monthly payment. And now I am finally getting out of credit card debt. So I just want to say thank you, Trinity, for showing me a better and greater path.
If you're in debt and you need help, call Trinity at 1-800-990-6976.
My name is Sharon, and soon I will be debt-free for keeps.
1-800-990-6976.
AM 560, The Answer.
Dan and Amy, so there's a lot of shuffling going on in the state of Florida.
Yeah, what's the scoop? Who's going to replace Matt Gaetz, Marco Rubio? What's going on?
Well, so you've got Gaetz and you've got Mike Waltz, who's going to be NSA, so there are 2 congressional seats. There'll be special elections there. You've got, the open Marco Rubio seat, which you thought, well, DeSantis, maybe he appoints him,
maybe he appoints himself?
He can't really appoint himself once Rubio vacates it because he's still the governor until 26. But then if he appoints someone like a person who is expressing interest, does he have a chance to run and win when he leaves office so that he has an office, with the idea of 2028? Not to mention Byron Donalds, another congressman. He's been on the short list for Department of Education secretary, but he's plotting to run for governor when DeSantis vacates because he's term limited in 26. So very complicated. But talking about somebody who's interested in the Marco Rubio Senate seat, who would be tough to deny.
To be able to serve in this role has really been the honor of a lifetime. Likewise, if I am able to serve, I would love to serve the people of Florida. This is my home state now and has been for 3 years. This is where Eric and I live. And truly to have that opportunity, I think would be incredible. No one knows better than I do the America First agenda or the goals of Donald Trump in the coming 4 years. So if I am asked, I would love to consider it, but I have yet to have a conversation with Governor DeSantis, so we will have to see.
Laura Trump, of course.
Right. What do you think, Dan?
I mean, you remember she considered running for Senate in North Carolina before she became a Florida resident, so she's had an eye on this. She clearly is saying, I want it. It's going to be tough for DeSantis, I think, to deny her, wouldn't you think?
Yeah, I mean, especially if it's Trump's daughter-in-law. But she has done a good job with RNC, and she did help get Trump elected. And, you know, she will toe the company line, that's for sure.
Coming up at 8:08, another business owner who was targeted for elimination by the left in the western suburbs. We'll talk to Larry Bedeg, VP of National Productions at the Bedeg Group in St. Charles at 8:08.
And we'll tell you again where you can go on Friday afternoon to support other restaurants on that list. Today, cloudy, stray shower, a high of 54. It's 8 a.m., WIND, Chicago.
A red alert moment. I was shocked. Give Matt a chance. I'm Chris Foster, Fox News. That's some senators' reaction to President-elect Trump's plan to nominate now former Florida House Republican Matt Gaetz as Attorney General. He's resigned from Congress effective immediately. President-elect has long had Gaetz' support.
He says Matt's going to end weaponized government, protect our borders, dismantle criminal organizations, and restore America's badly shattered faith and confidence in the Justice Department. The House Ethics Committee was investigating allegations Gaetz was part of a scheme tied to the sex trafficking of a minor, but now that Gaetz has stepped down, that investigation is going to stop. Should also mention that Gaetz has long denied the allegations.
Fox's Mark Merritt at the House Ethics Committee was due to meet tomorrow to vote on whether to release its report on Gaetz. It's not clear now whether that will happen. Republicans, it is now confirmed, will control the White House, Senate, and the House, retaining the majority there.
The trifecta was clinched after that race in Arizona was called for Republican incumbent Juan Ciscomani defeating Democrat challenger Kirsten Engel. It came on the heels of GOP incumbent Ken Calvert defeating Democrat challenger Will Rollins in California's 41st district. The majorities are small in both the House and the Senate, meaning Republicans have little margin for error, and we could see that tested early in some of these cabinet confirmations.
Fox's Griff Jenkins. The Beirut, Lebanon suburbs are hit by Israeli airstrikes for a third straight day, and civilians are warned buildings used by Hezbollah militants are being targeted. New weekly unemployment claims at the lowest level in 6 months, 217,000, the 4-week average at 221,000. Wholesale price inflation comes in at 2.4% annually, going by the Labor Department's monthly producer price index. That's up from 1.9%. Prices up 0.2% from September to October, up from 0.1% the month before. America's listening to Fox News.
.51 degrees, fog and light rain showers in the area at 8:02 on AM 560. The Answer, good morning. I'm Mike Scott. Mayor Brandon Johnson will oversee a special city council meeting today where he could face stiff opposition to a proposed $300 million property tax hike. Chicago aldermen who will likely vote against that hike called for that meeting, and they're also threatening efforts to pass any city budget by the end of year deadline. School leaders in Kenosha, Wisconsin want to secure all of the doors at all of their schools. Parents pushed the city school board for secure entrances at every Kenosha school yesterday. That after a 13-year-old showed up at Roosevelt Elementary with a suspicious bag. Police say Roosevelt's secure doors kept the teen out, forcing him to go through the front door where adults were able to stop him. 7 schools in Kenosha do not have secure doors like Roosevelt.
A controlled entrance. We're going to be using the rest of the vape settlement money to pay for a staff member to escort at the door.
A man was killed and an officer injured following a shooting during an undercover sting operation targeting a person responsible for a rash of armed robberies in northwest Indiana. Gary police held a press conference announcing the arrest of a suspect who allegedly had been posting fake social media marketplace listings and then robbing buyers.
The suspect had a machete-style weapon, so the machete-style weapon was displayed and it was acted upon the officer. And then when the REACT team actually came in contact with him, he continued that same behavior with this machete-style weapon, and that's what caused the officer to fire upon him.
The undercover officer involved in the sting, a 32-year veteran of the force, suffered non-life-threatening injuries in the incident. Bulls winners over the Knicks at MSG 124-123. The news, a service of Balance of Nature, fruits and veggies in a capsule. Save 35% off your first preferred order with promo code Chicago, but hurry. Offer ends soon. 804. Time for the AM 560 Business Beat, a service of Signature Bank. Visit signaturebank.bank for all your commercial banking needs. Now the latest from the Fox Business Network.
I'm Elizabeth McDonald, and this is the Fox Business Report.
The affordable luxury handbag merger opposed by federal regulators is dead. Capri Holdings, parent of Michael Kors, says it will not be merging with Coach's parent company, Tapestry. The Federal Trade Commission won a lawsuit to block the deal. It claimed the combined company would have too much power to raise prices. The companies today ended their merger deal. Walt Disney shares are gaining. It made money from its streaming service in the summer quarter, boosting its earnings, which topped expectations. Disney's traditional TV networks saw business decline, and income was weaker from its experiences unit, which includes theme parks and cruises. Wall Street will be reacting today to the Producer Price Index for October, inflation at the wholesale level. That's your Fox Business Report. I'm Jenny Coselda, invested in you.
Would you like to have your mortgage or rent paid for all of 2025? That sounds like a Christmas miracle, doesn't it? Well, that's exactly what AM 560 The Answer wants to do for you. Go to 560theanswer.com/miracle to enter our Christmas Mortgage Miracle Contest presented by Team Hochberg. Enter once per day, every day between now and December 20th, and you could have your rent or mortgage paid for all of next year. Go to 560theanswer.com/miracle.
If you're living with dry age-related macular degeneration or dry AMD, you may be at risk for developing geographic atrophy or GA. GA can be unpredictable and progress rapidly, leading to irreversible vision loss. Now there's something you can do to
slow it down and get it going slower.
Izervay is proven to slow GA progression.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Izervay or avacincaptad pagel is a prescription eye injection used to treat GA. Don't take it if you have an infection or active swelling in or around your eye. Izervay can cause eye infection, retinal detachment, or increased risk of wet AMD. Izervay may temporarily increase eye pressure. Your vision may be impaired after an eye injection or exam. Don't delay. Ask your doctor about Izervay today.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Visit Izervay.com. That's IZERVAY.com.
This is Sean Thompson. When you go on vacation, does it make sense to have somebody else pack for you? Of course not. The same can be said for your retirement. Your 401k could be packed with things you don't know about or even need. If you're close to retirement, but you don't have a plan customized to your goals, it's like kind of taking a 30-year vacation with no idea what's in the suitcase. Sounds like a stressful way to begin what should be a relaxing time. Tom Fortino at Alpha Wealth Group can help you unpack your savings and build a plan to reduce future taxes, address Social Security and health care, and a whole lot more, all with a clear, defined income strategy. Call the Alpha Wealth Group at 630-934-1855. Ask for the complimentary retirement plan. That's 630-934-1855 or online at alphawealthgroup.com. And listen to the Alpha Wealth Hour Saturday mornings at 9 a.m. right here on AM 560.
Advisory services through Retirement Wealth Advisors, LLC, and SEC Registered Investment Advisor. Insurance and annuities offered through Alpha Wealth Group, licensed in Illinois.
Have you ever thought about the causes, the brands that you support stand behind? Well, Pure Talk, my cell phone company, supports veterans. They've relieved $10 million in veterans' debt, donated tens of thousands of dollars monthly to prevent veteran suicide, donated $50,000 to Micro Works, and that helps provide scholarships to veterans after active duty. Dial pound 250, say the keyword save now. Do it now. You save an additional 50% off your first month. Pure Talk, America's wireless company. The Tunnel to Towers Foundation welcomed U.S. Army Specialist Brent Menard into a new mortgage-free smart home in Florida. Now, while on a road clearance mission in Afghanistan, Brent's vehicle was blown up by an improvised explosive device. Brent became a T4 paraplegic. Tunnel to Towers built him a specially adapted smart home that allows severely injured heroes like Brett to live more independently. We hope you'll donate $11 a month so this great work can continue. Just go to their website, the letter T, the number 2, the letter T.org.
It's 8:09. Let's get a check on the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time. And this update is a service of Quick Delivery Service. Make Quick Delivery Service your personal ground crew anytime, anywhere, any place. When you need to move your shipment or freight, Quick Delivery will get it there. Get a quote in advance and eliminate any surprises at quickdelivery.com. Kennedy inbound accident. Inbound at Nagel, 90 minutes into the Burns Circle interchange. Outbound Ike, accident cleared, approaching Mannheim. Stevenson right now, brake lights, Harlem Avenue into the Dan Ryan. I-57 solid traffic into the Dan Ryan merge. DuSable Lakeshore Drive, a headache this morning northbound between Bryn Mawr and Hollywood. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast with Steve Williams.
Cloudy skies today, stray shower this morning, breezy day, high 54. Cloudy tonight, low 45. Mostly sunny for tomorrow, the high 54. Partly sunny Saturday, nice start to the weekend, the high Saturday at 56. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
At Midway, light rain in 53, 51 at O'Hare, 51 Lakefront. Your next news update, 8:30. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. This is a story we've been covering the last couple days, ever since Next News Network posted the information. And the story is of Martha Paschke, who is a alderhuman in the city of Geneva, and some of these other unhinged leftists out in the western suburbs, targeting businesses in the western burbs, particularly Geneva and St. Charles, but also Wheaton and South Elgin and Batavia, so Elburn, Elgin, all over the place. Businesses they've identified as being supportive of the Republican Party, supportive of Trump, supportive of local candidates who are affiliated with the Republican Party or also supportive of Trump, you know, the guilt by association game. And Martha Paschke, who's becoming the face of this, and I think deservedly so, at least we're trying to make her the face of it, she's apparently the person who put together literally a spreadsheet with an enemies list and the crimes against humanity these businesses have committed. We talked to Casey Gulbrough yesterday, who owns Foxfire and the Copper Fox in Geneva. I guess Foxfire is one of the places that our friend Tom Sadek has organized a resurgence of the rebel diners to go patronize tomorrow, right?
Yes.
I saw he's texting me. They've got a reservation for 25 at Foxfire tomorrow.
Yeah, so if people want to come out, just go 25, and there's more room if people want to come on over. So,
if you haven't checked this Next News Network thread out, do so. I retweeted it a couple days ago, and it's got the spreadsheet because the spreadsheet is just fascinating and disturbing. Fascinating in a disturbing way. You know, the descriptions of the offenses committed that demand boycotting and wherever else these people want to take it, I don't know. For example, Luau Coffee in Elburn, anti-mask, notorious staging spot for cane GOP before canvassing. They're talking about this like supply depots of an enemy of the state that need to be eliminated. Well, we've got another business that we're going to speak with, business owner, Larry Bettag, and their crime from the spreadsheet. They own the Bettag Group in St. Charles. Owners Larry and Michelle Bettag, large GOP donors, behind the Campton Warriors, ran Kerry Lake fundraiser at their house.
Dun, dun, dun.
All right, well, let's talk to this ne'er-do-well, according to the powers that be in the western suburbs. Larry Bettag, VP of National Production at the Bettag Group in St. Charles. Larry, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
I'm humbled to be with a couple of rock stars like you guys. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah,
easy
you're welcome. Pleasure. But Would you like to plead for mercy for the crimes that you have committed in the Western Burbs?
Yeah, I was going to go to confession earlier this week, but maybe I can air my grievances here too.
Yes, where it's cathartic. Yes.
Yeah, very cathartic.
What's your reaction to what's this targeting that's being done, and again that spreadsheet is just the key. That's really next level stuff with these details about your activities and why you need to be boycotted, or your business needs to be boycotted and such.
Well, they don't have everything right, that's for sure. They got 2 out of the 3 things right, but that's fine.
Yeah.
I think if they're going to put stuff out there, they might want to be accurate. I think to blanketly do that's probably not appropriate. But you know what I was thinking when knowing that I was going to be on, have the ability to be on here with you guys, is that she's washed her hands of it and said that I'm the Facebook administrator of this group. Well, I'm an administrator of about 7 groups myself, none of which are political. But as an administrator, you can turn on commenting, you can approve people, you can approve, or you can go ahead and block. And I'm with a number of groups where every single comment gets approved. So for her to go ahead and try to wash her hands of it is probably very immature. She can't have a group and say that she's not responsible for that.
Yeah.
So the complicity goes to her.
And I mean, is she taking ownership of putting together the spreadsheet, or whose handiwork was that? She doesn't want to talk about it.
We don't know. We don't know. But the thing is, it's a group that she's the administrator of. And I keep thinking that. Go ahead.
No, and I mean, and like, how prominent is she, and is this group, and how many people like her are being public about their desire to see your business and others boycotted and so forth?
I've never heard of her until now. Now she's prominent. She's got the fame and fortune that she wants.
Yeah.
I think there's groups that are out here that are incredibly vocal. In prepping to come in here, I did a little research on her on Facebook, and she said she spent 20 years traveling the world as a missionary. I find it, or a missionary's daughter, I find it hard to believe that this woman who has those Christ-based love, and her post yesterday was about kindness, it would go ahead and vilify people who have really, I've spent 30 years, I grew up here, and I publicly, I don't do anything to the left or the right. I love them all. I really do. My private matters and the way I vote and what I believe are my matters. But to go ahead and say, I'm going to go ahead and vilify people who don't believe the same things that I do, I think it comes down to one or two different things. Either, I hate saying it this way, but she's incredibly stupid, or she is has a very, very low emotional intelligence. Because I think about this. She lost, obviously, in her election results, and so she allows this to be permitted on her site. And as a result of her emotional intelligence or her stupidity, she, as an employee of a city, in the face of a city that wants to attract and develop Geneva into something of prominence, has done a lot of things now to hurt a lot of people that have invested years, decades into their community. That's a problem. Well, I don't understand why Geneva would allow that. And then I guess she's an employee of Aurora.
City of Aurora. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We've got calls into Richard Irvin for a comment on her. And by the way, she can be both stupid and have low emotional intelligence. A little bit of both. What about St. Charles? I mean, since there's so many St. Charles businesses on this list as well, have village officials or the Chamber of Commerce or anybody in St. Charles other than the individual business owners commented?
No, the only thing that I've heard of, I mean, maybe they have, but I'm not aware of it. All I've heard of is the businesses. And I've gotten calls, believe it or not, I've gotten blown up through my texts. I've gotten blown up from people out of state. I guess this made the Gateway Pundit. Mm-hmm. And I have people that have been clients of mine for years saying, "Oh, you're famous." And I'm like, well, I guess maybe that's a different way of free PR, for me. So.
Yeah. Well, tell us your business. The BetTag Group is is a
Yeah,
mortgage,
so-
real estate mortgage broker?
Well, I'm the vice president of national production for Guild or Cherry Creek Mortgage, and I've served for over 30 years. I'm an attorney. I work at a law firm as well in Geneva. But I got to tell you, not once have I ever asked a single person what their political affiliation is. I don't care. I like serving people. I just love serving people. My private life, I have a Vince Lombardi mentality, which is God first, family second, and then Green Bay Packers, or I say my business is third. But I think that they have a real problem with the grassroots. You know, they name the Warriors. Well, the Warriors is just a group of people that are really grassroots. And what's grassroots? Grassroots are just people like you and I, with incorporated or not incorporated. We're not incorporated. We have people that show up, and we're just concerned about the Lombardi thing, God first and family second, and where are we taking our country? Where are we taking our country locally? And to have them, you know, for me to hear that Mayor Burns isn't saying anything, at least he wasn't as of yesterday when I listened to your show, he's complicit. You have to speak up on this stuff. The silence is complicity.
Well, do you feel like you live in a communist country sometimes? I mean, did somebody, so you had this fundraiser for Carrie Lake, somebody snitched on you? I mean, what's going on?
Yeah, I guess that's an evil thing. You know what happened with that whole thing is someone called me and said, hey, she's going to be doing a tour up here, and she's got all these fundraisers. Would you mind hosting her Sunday at 4 o'clock someday, many months ago? And I'm like, gosh, that'd be great. What an honor. And so we opened our house, and now we have really quickly become the Antichrist. So I guess that's not allowed.
It's your private home.
I mean, the businesses, you know, all these businesses are being targeted for having something in common, support of center-right candidates or center-right policies or exhibiting center-right thoughts. I mean, is this having? I know it's having a boomerang on them in terms of generating attention for the businesses and sending a lot of customers people's way, and that's a good thing. What about in terms of becoming more vocal on behalf of center-right ideas and candidates in locally and in this state? Since this state.
That's a great question. You know, I will tell you this: I'm passionate about the God first, family second, but under that comes taxation, and we are seeing this taxation is out of control in King County. When I say out of control, it's out of control. Madam Chair is somebody who just likes to print money and then tax people later on. And she hires unions to do the work, and those unions will go ahead from outside of King County, mind you, donate to her campaign so that she stays funded. It's something where the affordability factor, it makes it incredibly difficult. Let me just tell you this, as an attorney, I will tell you that I have a lot of my clients, and as a lender, that say, can I get approved to leave Illinois? And I think about the three states, California, New York, and Illinois, that have the biggest governors who are fighting against Trump, and yet they're the number one states that people are fleeing. So is it a big deal? Yeah. I tell people, we can't leave. You're going to leave. They're going to go ahead and try to infiltrate those states. At some point, someone has to stand up and do the right thing. And a bully's a bully until they get punched in the mouth. And she needs to get punched in the mouth. You know, and we need people like me, like you, like Amy, that said, hey, we got to get involved at the local level. And we're having a great success here. And they don't like it at all.
Well, I mean, you're the Madam Chair, King County Board Chairman, you're talking about is Connie Pirogue, and the King County Board is dominated now, something didn't think I'd ever say in my lifetime, dominated by Democrats. So something, I mean, I'm glad to see the business community, all those businesses listed are doing something, but it seems to be something missing in terms of the organizing that's required to change the balance of power.
Yeah, something's missing, and we're trying to get candidates in there that are, I'm going to say this very bluntly, America first. Mm-hmm. I think that they think the America first are all these, this MAGA whack jobs. That's not the case at all. God first, family second. I don't know a single left-winger in theory be against those things, except maybe they hate God. I don't know. I would think they like their families.
Have you considered running?
Not if Martha Peschke was a member, but anyway.
No, I don't want to. You know what? Put a gun to my head, put a gun in my mouth to sit in one of those meetings. I've watched a number of those meetings. I just want to get stuff done. And I feel like I'm doing more here, helping champion the candidates. But for me to sit I'm too ADD and hyperactive. I do not want to sit an hour in a meeting, much less 5 hours in one of those stupid board meetings.
Yeah, I can appreciate that. Yeah, that's fair. Larry Bettag is the VP of National Production at the Bettag Group in St. Charles. Larry, thanks so much for joining us, and appreciate what you're doing out there in St. Charles.
Hey, thank you for your voice. Keep up the good work. I'm a major, major fan of your work.
Thank you.
Thanks. And he joined us. Well, before we sign off here, just reminding people, if you would like to attend tomorrow's lunch at Foxfire, it's between 11:30 and 1:30. Table of 25 has been reserved. If you are interested, please email Tom at freedomsquare.com. Again, that's Tom at freedomsquare.com.
Rebel Diners Unite.
Yes, and he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
You're listening to Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
$20 million. No, it's not the national debt. It's the buying spree at Fox Valley Coins. And it's on from now until Thanksgiving. It's really the perfect storm. Gold and silver are at historic levels. Fox Valley Coins has a huge order to fill with one of their national clients. And September through Thanksgiving is always when coin dealers stock up for Christmas sales. They are especially looking for the old collector coins like silver dollars, all 1700s through early 1900s coins. All kinds of gold from broken jewelry to gold bars to the old coins, U.S. and foreign. All kinds of silver from sterling silverware to old coins and bars to Franklin Mint items. They can pay cash or check and make house calls on larger deals prior to Thanksgiving. Fox Valley Coins, one light north of I-88 at the Naperville-Warrenville border. They'll make free, no-obligation offers. Make that 20,000,001 reasons to go to Fox Valley Coins now. They give free in-store offers on your items.
Did you wake up with achy joints again? Does it hurt doing the most routine activities like walking up the stairs, walking down the stairs, walking at all? Have they told you it's time for knee or hip replacement surgery? Well, stop what you're doing and listen. You deserve a life of comfort and ease with no surgery and no meds. And if you're a good candidate for these new treatments, QC Kinetics can get you there. These are the nation's leaders in regenerative cellular treatments for joint pain. It's an all-natural approach that harnesses your own body's healing properties to treat the root cause of your arthritic pain or pain due to injury. Everybody's talking about it. QC Kinetics joint pain treatments are life-changing for so many people. Think about it. When you cut your hand, eventually it heals. To find out more about regenerative cellular treatments, call them for a free consultation. Yes, it's free. They will walk you through the procedure and let you know if you're a good candidate. Because if you're not a good candidate, they're not going to do the procedure. So just find out for yourself and just know that surgery and meds are not your only option. 312-809-5955. That's 312-809-5955. Saturday appointments available. 312-809-5955.
This is Carol Platt-Liebau for townhall.com. There's a catchphrase in political and media commentary: never go full Hitler. Comparing anyone to Hitler is over the top given the historical depth of Hitler's evil. But Democrats and the legacy media did it. They went full Hitler on Trump, comparing our next president to the Fuhrer. Look no further than Joy Reid of MSNBC.
The other meets the textbook definition of fascism, namely a far-right dictatorial regime like Hitler's Germany or Franco's Spain or Mussolini's Italy.
The left will pay a price with its base for its deceit. The rest of America has already seen through all the Democrat hoaxes when it comes to Trump. Look no further than President Biden, who has now hosted the American Hitler for lunch. Really? Americans are seeing it clearly. They've been cynically exploited. The transition can't happen soon enough. I'm Carol Platt-Liebau.
Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies supplements, changing the world one life at a time.
Going on 72 in July. I swim. I'm a swimmer. I play pickleball and I play golf. And I have to say, Balance of Nature really I feel like I could sing.
I like the product, and I'm telling a lot of people about it.
It's the best stuff in the world. And it's good stuff.
Celebrate this season with Black Friday savings all month long. Call 1-800-246-8751 or go to balanceofnature.com and sign up as a new preferred customer to get 50% off your first preferred set with free shipping and our money-back guarantee. That's 1-800-246-8751. Don't miss out. Go to balanceofnature.com or call 1-800-246-8751 and get this exclusive Black Friday offer by using discount code Chicago.
AM 560, The Answer.
Just got another text message. Tom@freedomsquare.com. That's who you email if you want to go to Foxfire or any of the other restaurants tomorrow between 11:30 and 1:30. All right, coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
At 8:38, what happens to the censorship industrial complex with the Trump administration? We'll ask Mike Benz, Executive Director of the Foundation for Freedom Online, former State Department cyber expert. Maybe he'll be back on the inside. Mike Benz at 8:38.
But now let's head into the newsroom. Here's Mike Scott.
51 degrees at 8:30. House Republicans nominating Speaker Mike Johnson to retain the gavel for another 2 years. Meantime, Speaker Johnson says Matt Gaetz submitted his resignation effective immediately, just hours after being nominated by President-elect Trump to be U.S. Attorney General at a news conference Wednesday. Johnson admitted the decision by the Florida congressman caught them by surprise.
I asked him what the reasoning was, and he said, well, you can't have too many absences. So under Florida state law, there's about an 8-week period to select and fill a vacant seat.
Republicans also voted Steve Scalise as House Majority Leader. An unprecedented shakeup at the Pentagon is said to be in the works. Reuters is reporting members of President-elect Trump's transition team are making a list of military officers who could be fired, including members of the Joint Chiefs. Georgia's election interference case is going to continue. Re-elected District Attorney Fani Willis has indicated she intends to push forward with the 2020 investigation that still involves multiple suspects. Mayor Brandon Johnson will oversee a special city council meeting where he could face opposition to a proposed $300 million property tax hike. Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker is adamant the state must appeal a federal judge's ruling that his gun and magazine ban is unconstitutional. A Homer Glen couple is charged in the death of their 2-year-old daughter. Edward Weyer and Alexa Balin both face multiple charges, including endangering the life or health of their child. A man is hurt after he was stabbed at a CTA train station on Chicago's near North Side. The incident happened yesterday in the 800 block of North State. That man is in good condition. And remembering a Chicago firefighter who died in the line of duty 1 year ago.
Firefighter EMT Andrew Price succumbed to his death.
Chicago Fire Commissioner Annette Holt and many others were on hand honoring firefighter Andrew Price by adding his badge to the memorial wall at the Quinn Fire Academy.
We've raised street signs in his name. We have tried our best to make sure that Drew's memory will never be forgotten.
Price died while fighting a fire in Chicago's Lincoln Park neighborhood. Bulls hold off the Knicks 124-123 at Madison Square Garden. Blackhawks take on Seattle tonight. College hoops last night. Number 20 Fighting Illini stay unbeaten with a win over Oakland. College football last night. A MAC win for Northern Illinois over Akron. The news, a service of Balance of Nature. Fruits and veggies in a capsule. Save 35% on your first order with promo code Chicago. Order online at balanceofnature.com as a preferred customer and save 35%. Hurry, offer ends soon. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
We have so much to be thankful for this year. Our family, our friends, our nation. And it's important that we take the opportunity to give thanks for the many blessings in our lives. That's why AM 560, The Answer, wants to make sure you have a turkey on your table for Thanksgiving this year. We're giving away Butterball turkeys. To enter to win, just go to 560theanswer.com/turkey. That's 560theanswer.com/turkey.
Hey there, Sal Jenkins. I'm the creator of The Chosen, and I am so excited to share that the movie I've been trying to make for over 15 years, The Best Christmas Pageant Ever, is finally here.
Nothing is more important than our annual Christmas pageant.
The pageant is sacred.
But this year...
The Herdmans are absolutely the worst kids in the history of the world.
It might be the first Christmas pageant in history where Joseph and the wise men get in a fight.
Now that's a pageant I'd actually like to see. Based on the classic book, The Best Christmas Pageant Ever is now playing. Enjoy.
Rated PG. Parental guidance suggested. The instability of our economy after this election has many worried. Stocks and bonds could be the first to collapse. Gold has been a safe haven asset for generations. At Premier Gold, we specialize in helping those with a 401k or other types of retirement accounts convert their vulnerable paper assets into physical gold. Today, we'd like to send you a free gold election kit to help you decide if this is right for you. Call 606-800-8000. Premier Gold is not a financial advisor. Please consult with your advisor before investing. Call 606-800-8000.
It's Dr. David Kolbaba.
With cold and flu season, now is the time to ensure you're building an effective immune system. Zinc is so critical for every function of your body, especially your immune defense. And there's no better way to check your zinc levels than our zinc tally test. First, we'll test you in our offices, and then you get to take your very own zinc tally test home with you, and once a week, watch your steady progress. Can't get to our offices for your first zinc tally test? No problem. We'll ship a kit to you. It's so fast and simple to use, with quick results in just seconds, with you not having to pay for those blood tests to check for zinc deficiencies, which most of us probably are deficient. So call our Health Quest radio hotline at 800-794-1855 to order yours today. And listen to Health Quest Radio with me, Dr. David Kolbaba, this Saturday morning at 11. Call 800-794-1855. That's 800-794-1855.
8:36. Let's get an update on the roads. We do that, of course, in our Team Hochberg Traffic Center. And this update is a service of Allstate. Some people just know you could save money on car insurance by checking Allstate first. Those are people probably saving a carload of cash right now. So what are you waiting for? Check Allstate first for a quote today. You're in good hands with Allstate. Inbound Kennedy, they've cleared an accident near Nagel, but still an hour and 25 in from O'Hare to the Burns Circle interchange. The Ike all jammed up, Des Plaines Avenue through Western. Stevenson right now, brake lights, Harlem Avenue to Kedzie. Solid on the Dan Ryan inbound between the Skyway and Roosevelt Road. Bishop Ford, report of an accident, right lane blocked inbound between 130th and Cottage Grove. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast. Cloudy with a morning shower, breezy this afternoon. High 54, low clouds, and 45 overnight. Cloudy and 51 right now. Next news at 9. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next on AM 560 The Answer.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. Only the biggest stories, only the biggest guests, and only the biggest opinions. This is AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. We talked a bit earlier in the week revisiting Trump's campaign video on what he plans to do to protect freedom of speech in this country, but combating the censorship industrial complex is a problem in the West writ large. For example, this admiral from the Royal Dutch Navy named Rob Bauer, who is NATO's chief of their military committee, at a recent confab, he had this to say about free speech and X and what Musk and Trump are doing.
It's a sensitive topic to talk about, to talk to our own people, in information towards our own people. A very quickly it becomes propaganda. And that has a reason. But the Russians talk to us, they lie, but they lie openly, so they lie also to their own people, but they don't care. We have sort of an agreement that we don't do that. So what we say publicly should be, our people will check it. There's a number of people in our nations that will basically check if the government says something. That's not necessarily the case in China and Russia. So in terms of disinformation and cyber attacks and all the things that are happening, influencing elections, I think it's a serious problem. And I think the use of social media is basically amplifying everything that is being done by bot factories. And I'm very much in favor of freedom of speech. But I'm not necessarily convinced that what Mr. Musk is doing on X is the right approach. I'm very much in favor of freedom of speech, but there is a lot of things on Twitter that is not helping our societies at all.
So what you're saying is you're very much in favor of free speech, but you're not very much in favor of free speech. That's what I heard. The censorship industrial complex, this is going to be a big fight. Needs to be rooted out in federal agencies that we've talked about for the last several years, as well as perhaps some difficult conversations again with NATO from President Trump about, if not First Amendment protections like we have in other Western nations, then at least the same norms in favor of free speech, which are under assault in places throughout Western Civ. For more on the topic, we're pleased to be joined again by Mike Benz. He knows a little something about it. In fact, he's been educating much of the Western world about this over the last several years, including us. He's the executive director of the Foundation for Freedom Online. He's also a former State Department cyber expert. Mike, thanks for joining us again. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me on. Yeah, quite a clip there, right?
Yeah, he's for free speech, except the speech that he deems unhelpful to society.
Well, that's the funny thing. I think folks listening right now need to understand that this is not hypocrisy. It's strategy. This selective alternation between saying that you stand for free speech but then promoting censorship is because NATO loves free speech as a weapon to destabilize governments of countries they want to overthrow. And then they promote censorship to keep in power the regimes they want to keep in power. So free speech, for example, was a military instrument for NATO to overthrow the governments of Egypt and Tunisia during the Arab Spring.
Mm-hmm.
That's why they promoted free speech there. They promoted free speech in Russia. That's why 26 U.S. government-funded NGOs all threatened and condemned Russia when they considered banning Telegram. But then when Telegram led to too much free speech in Ukraine, suddenly our U.S. State Department-funded media all called for Telegram to be censored, and when Telegram failed to do the censorship, magically its founder got arrested and then quickly, out on bail, made all the terms of services changes to give censorship powers effectively to these NATO rapid response units. But, NATO has this very, very rich history in the censorship industry. It's perhaps the top dog in it, which a lot of people, I think may find hard to believe at first. But, this goes back to 2014 with the initial Ukraine affair, when the Western world effectively overthrew the democratically elected government of Ukraine, and then there was sort of a counter coup where the eastern half of the state broke away, did not respect the new Victoria Nuland-led government, and NATO basically freaked out that this counter coup happened and that $5 billion worth of U.S.-funded media and civil society funding was still not penetrating the hearts and minds of people in Crimea or eastern Ukraine. And so they declared a new military doctrine. At first it was called the Gerasimov Doctrine, changed its name to the Hybrid Warfare Doctrine. Now it's referred to as the Sharp Power Doctrine. but it came to be known colloquially at NATO as a doctrine called "from tanks to tweets," which is that NATO needs to see war in a new way. That it's not about the tank-to-tank battle between the West and Russia or the West and China. It's about control over social media, because social media is the new media, and social media is what controls elections, and elections are what control the use of military by the elected commander-in-chief. And so the real way to win a war is through tweets rather than through tanks. Jens Stoltenberg, the head of NATO, formally declared this doctrine in 2019. And we've been living under it ever since. NATO just this week gave out tens of millions of dollars in grants in their new Societal Resilience Fund. This is a military NATO grant program in order to finance social media censorship methods done in the name of making citizens psychologically resilient against misinformation. This is military control over the media.
This has to be something that is on Musk's radar in particular, given his experience in Brazil, where he, can make this clear that the United States shouldn't be, on the one hand, championing free speech domestically and then subsidizing censorship internationally.
Totally. I think he has ingested an incredible education in a very short period of time. I don't know where his head was at when he initially purchased Twitter, in terms of if he knew then what forces he was going to be having to confront just by simply trying to promote free speech. But I think, like in so many other things that he's done, he has kind of gotten a speed run education in the space. But now it sort of falls to the Trump administration in order to implement what needs to be done to take those forces on, which is going to be a hell of a dogfight.
So who else is going to be instrumental in this fight domestically within the Trump administration to deal with CISA and these other and outside agencies that are or organizations that are in part funded by government, NGOs, academic institutions, all the things that you documented in the Election Integrity Partnership cabal, for example? Give us your vision for or your recommendations in terms of how you think the Trump administration should conceive what they're up against and approach it.
Well, there's lots of different assets and levers in this. Obviously, there's the cabinet and all the different agencies that are involved. My foundation, FFO, next week is going to be releasing a comprehensive list of every single government censorship program, every single federal government agency and bureau within each agency that is currently running a internet censorship program or initiative, which we hope will be helpful for the American people to educate themselves about this. And interested policymakers can obviously take that into consideration in the policy formulation they do. So you have the cabinet level, then you've got the House, the Senate, and the courts, which all have important roles to play in taking this on. And we are going to need every single one of those as free speech advocates because of the size of the political forces on the other side of this, which go all the way up to major banks, major multinational corporations, to much of the U.S. and transatlantic military itself.
But would you say like Kristi Noem at DHS and Tulsi Gabbard, the DNI, would be like two of the natural people that would need to take prominent roles?
Absolutely. But there's DOD. For example, you just played. We started this with the NATO clip. Well, the main liaison to DOD is the U.S. Pentagon. So that's going to fall to Pete Hegseth.
Yeah.
Who's going to have to at least use the power of the pen to end 25 different DARPA programs that are all dedicated to internet censorship. You mentioned DHS and the Election Integrity Partnership, EIP, from 2020. Well, half of the people involved in that were a part of something called this DARPA ISAT board, which was a U.S. Department of Defense sponsored internet censorship program. There's the Semantic Information Defender, which basically is a real-time Pentagon keyword map with that creates a living database of online disinformation. And the entities have been uploading to that, have been busted, basically calling Trump a Russian puppet. So they just throw anything pro-Trump in there. Trump really was at I would say his generals were at war with him. And so when the DOD is allowed to build censorship programs and say that they're doing it to stop hostile foreign threats like Russia, but then they call their own commander-in-chief a Russian asset effectively, it gives them, if they're unchecked, the power to censor 100 million Americans under the banner that they're all effectively a counterintelligence threat because they're backing a Russian asset. So those are the sorts of dirty tricks involved here. But, a major one is also going to be the U.S. State Department. And Marco Rubio was just announced as the Secretary of State nominee for the Trump administration. I should note the clip that you started this with Rob Bauer at NATO, basically saying that he opposes Elon Musk and Donald Trump's policy preferences, free speech advocacy on X. That conference was an International Institute for Strategic Studies conference. That institution receives $1.2 million from the U.S. State Department. The U.S. taxpayers funded that meeting where NATO is openly plotting its resistance to the First Amendment of the United States. So none of this would exist without government funding. Mm-hmm. And there is an open question as to whether or not a Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, who is on effectively the chairman of the Senate Intelligence Committee, and also on the Senate Foreign Relations Committee, also just won an award 5 months ago from the International Republican Institute, the John McCain Award. This is a longtime CIA cutout. Marco Rubio is a guy who has sort of a foot in both worlds in terms of Trump world and blob world, and I think everyone's rooting for him and hoping that he does the right thing. But the fact is that blob side of the network that he's attached to is who is responsible for all of this. And my concern is for him to take on the censorship industry, he will have to turn his back on allies, which have been his longtime friends, if he's not going to put a knife in the back of Trump. So he's between a rock and a hard place on this free speech issue, and he'll need to do the right thing, or else this whole thing could get derailed.
Well, that'll require careful monitoring of him then. Yes, very interesting.
Let's talk about what's going on in France right now. You recently tweeted about the Blob's prosecutor playbook when they're losing in the political process.
Yep.
What's happening there?
Well, this is stock standard now. Whenever you have a populist political candidate who is winning in the polls, the foreign policy establishment back channels with the State Department, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and the prosecution services in the country in order to find a pretense to arrest the populist party who's winning in order to preserve their foreign policy agenda. We saw this in Italy with the arrest of Matteo Salvini, and now the criminal charges facing Giorgia Meloni. We saw this with the Vox party in Spain. We saw this with the AfD party in Germany. We saw this with Donald Trump in the United States. We saw this with Bolsonaro in Brazil, who's also under indictment in Brazil. All of these individuals were nationalist, populist politicians with a foreign policy vision that was diametrically opposite the longtime establishment NATO vision. And Marine Le Pen is the same way. You can tell whether or not you're going to get arrested running for president by simply what your elucidated foreign policy is. If Marine Le Pen, for example, has been running on a make France great again, effectively, domestic policy, and she has strongly rejected the U.S. State Department's push for sanctions on Russia and for upscaling the NATO war to seize Eurasia. She has been running, for example, on restoring normal energy relations with Russia. Well, that would put France as one of the largest economies in Europe, the actual anchor of NATO. NATO didn't begin in Brussels. NATO began in Paris, and it was only after Charles de Gaulle effectively threatened to pull France out of NATO that there was a coup against Charles de Gaulle, and NATO moved to Brussels. But the fact is if Marine Le Pen were to successfully become the prime minister of France, it would be a dagger blow to NATO's plans to spend trillions of taxpayer dollars on across both sides of the Atlantic to expand NATO all the way to the outer orbit of Siberia, where $75 trillion worth of resources reside in Russia alone. There has been this long-term plan to seize Eurasia. The Ukraine geopolitics are just one phase of that. And if Russia is allowed to have normal diplomatic and economic relations with the West, then the whole plan gets foiled. So they need to stop her. They can't stop her in the polls, so they're stopping her with prosecutors, the same way they tried to do with Trump, the same way they did to Bolsonaro, the same way they did to Salvini. And it has totally corrupted the concept of a rule of law in the Western world.
Mike Benz, Executive Director of the Foundation for Freedom Online. Looking forward to that list of all the government agencies running censorship programs that's coming out next week, Foundation for Freedom Online. He's also a former State Department cyber expert, as you could tell. Mike Benz, thank you so much for joining us again. Appreciate it.
Thanks. And you can follow me on X at Mike Benz Cyber. Thanks, guys.
All right.
Just followed you. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
It's news, opinion, insight. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
So the body knows that it needs to heal itself, but it doesn't know how to concentrate it and target it into just one area. So that's where we come in.
By we, Dr. Ashley Caravelli means the nation's leader in regenerative medicine, QC Kinetics.
We put in those treatments, then it sends out like little signalers to your body. We're able to make the body focus on the areas that need the most healing.
QC Kinetics has gathered brilliant medical minds like Dr. Caravelli and Dr. Mitchell Scheinkup, a pioneer in the field of regenerative medicine, to lead the way in these innovative pain treatments.
So at QC Kinetics, we have a whole team working nationwide with cutting-edge research to reach our patients and treat them and know that surgery is no longer their only option.
The consultation is free. Find out if you're a candidate. Call QC Kinetics today.
Call QC Kinetics, 312-809-5955. That's 312-809-5955. 312-809-5955.
Are your file cabinets stuffed with work orders, invoices, bills of lading, medical records, and or compliance papers? There's a solution to clear the clutter by converting your documents into accessible digital form with the help of IDT. They can scan your documents for you or provide you with the technology to transform your workspace with easy and innovative IoT Smart Connected Scanning technology. IoT Smart Connected Scanning not only captures your information, it connects your documents directly to your existing digital systems, ensuring seamless integration and immediate access. Plus, it works with your existing Microsoft Office 365 technology. Convert those physical files into secure, searchable, easy-to-find digital formats. Goodbye, paper chaos. Hello, streamlined, secure digital environment. Visit ready4idt.com. That's ready, the number 4idt.com. IDT, putting paper in its place.
The following is not an actor, but a real-life story from Trinity Debt Management.
My debt problem started probably about 2016. I needed my life to change financially. I called Trinity and I ended up joining based on high credit card bills and high interest rate. And my counselor at Trinity has been great, and Trinity has been helping me to get on the right path of paying off these credit card bills, bringing down the interest rate. They have consolidated my bills into one low monthly payment. And now I am finally getting out of credit card debt. So I just want to say thank you, Trinity, for showing me a better and greater path.
If you're in debt and you need help, call Trinity at 1-800-990-6976.
My name is Sharon, and soon I will be debt-free for keeps.
1-800-990-6976.
AM 560, The Answer.
Another day of broadcast excellence. Dan, anything you want to say?
Bye.
Okay, and don't forget, if you want to go tomorrow, we'll talk about it still, for the, what do you call it, diners? Rebel Diners?
Rebel Diners.
Yes, Tom at freedomsquare.com. Thanks to Justin Kosick, Quinn McCarthy. It is now 9 a.m. WIND, Chicago.
Make America Florida.